This week, we discuss the 118 getting jinxed by their new probie,
Bobby's terrible, no good, projection-filled advice,
and the catastrophic levels of comp-het surrounding Eddie and his run-in with Ana Flores.
Thank you for listening to the Buddy System podcast.
Can't get enough of the buddies? Subscribe to our Patreon for access to our Discord community, full reaction videos, and even more exclusive content.
And if you really want to make our day, leave a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
Please come yap with us on your favorite social media platform.
We're at Buddy System Pod everywhere. That's BUDDIE System Pod.
Catch you next time. And don't forget,
Bring a buddy with you.
911, what's your love language? Welcome to Dispatch. What's on call this week?
Today we're talking about Season 4, Episode 6, titled Jinx.
Written by Taylor Wong and directed by Jan Turner.
The director of photography is our guy Joaquin Cedillo and originally aired on February 22nd, 2021.
Okay, guys, are you ready for this?
She's too excited about this.
Just a little bit.
It's concerning.
This is probably going to be fun only for me. Are you ready for the ultimate calls of the week roll call?
Sure.
This is the most we're ever going to have. This is so many calls. So basically, to give us overarching context, what starts out as a typical day, just like any other beginning of shift, swiftly takes a dramatic turn when the B shift's new probie, hi Ravi, utters the cursed Q word unknowingly, angering the EMS gods, and thus ensues the shift from hell. So we have a lot of calls to go through. Be prepared. We have Izzy probably could have used a few chains, where 118 arrived to the scene of a fender bender, which doesn't seem unusual, right? Well, until they realized what distracted the drivers was a man who duct taped himself to a billboard as a stunt to promote his new rap album, and his refusal to come down from the billboard doesn't last long as the tape loses its stickiness and Izzy plummets to the crash pad below. Then we have the Don't Stop Me Now montage, where we have a firefighter classic with a twist, where they rescue a cat from the tree and rescue the man who tried to rescue the cat, a car accident on Main Street, which was called in but not seen. We have Main Squeeze, where a girl gets stuck in her lion costume. Did I leave the oven on? It was a very quick shot of fire, which for all I know, that was the oven burning Bobby's baked mac and cheese. And to me, that is an emergency. Then, sorry, this stall is occupied, where an octopus makes its great escape from the sushi restaurant next door, through the ducts, and dropping into the bathroom of the building next door. And then coming to you this summer, it's Attack of the Movie Theater Seat, where a man gets trapped under a movie theater luxury lounger. Squeaky Clean, a kid gets stuck in a laundry machine at a laundromat. A Barrel of Laughs, where a clown gets pinned under a pile of helium tanks that collapses on top of them at a party store. 2 people get stuck in the elevator, and we just catch them at the end of that. What's so shocking, where Eddie continues to ridicule the idea that they've been jinxed as everyone climbs back into the fire truck after finishing up a call when a live power pole falls onto the engine, trapping them all inside. Baby, you're a firework. The 118 respond to a house fire where they encounter a man who stored his illegally purchased fireworks in his garage, and it becomes a rather explosive scene. Larry's no good, very bad day at work. A local burger joint receives a call from the fire chief about a gas leak in their building, inciting panic and an employee to smash the restaurant windows in precaution. Grand theft fire engine, and the man who had been impersonating first responders makes a run for it and takes the 118 engine for a not-so joyride. There's a 5-alarm structure fire and a hearty breakfast, where the jinx hasn't quite worn off yet. A patron suffers a heart attack right as Bobby, Buck, Hen, and Chimney are about to dig into a well-deserved breakfast, Bobby's treat, and they spring into action. So all told, it's about 16 calls, which does not break the house record, but it breaks the record of calls in an episode. That was my surprise.
I did have a question of like, how long are dispatch shifts versus the firefighter shifts? Like, I know firefighters 24 hours, right? But it's like, is dispatch just regular 8 hours? Because it's like,
I have no idea.
To them, I felt like it was like 2 to 3 separate work shifts. For Josh and Linda, I was confused.
I feel like maybe they're on like a 12-hour sort of situation, but I'm not positive.
If anyone listening can answer that question, let me know.
They could have gone home and come back and gone home again.
But the 118 didn't.
No.
Yeah.
Anyways, I hope you enjoyed all of that.
I did.
I tried really hard.
The octopus one was my favorite.
Mine too. Occupied.
I have questions about what was happening at the line suit call.
So many questions, so many things going unanswered. We will never know. Anyways, yes. So those are all of the calls or emergencies that we see this episode. I did write them down as many. If I missed one, please let me know. I watched the episode like 3 times and I think I got them, but I don't think we'll ever see that many again. And who knows if they actually had any more, because they said in the last time the Q word was uttered, it was 36/37 calls. So
I'm sure
I think they could only fit this much in an episode.
Yeah, because otherwise the montage would have been like half the episode.
Yeah, which still would have been fun, actually.
Yeah, but Don't Stop
like
Me Now is not that long. So
no, they would have had to use Bohemian Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
That's a long ass song.
I
know. Anyways, thank you for indulging me.
Mm-hmm.
What are your general thoughts of this episode?
All-time favorite.
Yeah.
Such a good episode. Fun. The fun one. A fun one.
One of the funnest.
Yeah, it's a good episode. It's definitely one of my favorites. If I want like a feel-good episode, that's one I would put on. Mm-hmm. Skipping some of the Bobby talks, that's for sure. I'll skip the end too of that episode. It ends when they leave the firehouse for me. Oh, and maybe a little bit of the little like debrief, but I don't need the debrief. It's fine.
I love that they had the debrief in there, though. It was very like Ocean's 911.
One of my favorite episodes. Very, very funny. I also appreciate that it's very funny without like an added side of the most depressing shit you've ever seen. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just one of their best episodes, and I think that we should do more like this.
Yeah, more season 10. Let's go.
Yeah. I really think the whole vibe is like, I'm one more minor inconvenience away from a full mental breakdown, which I find very relatable. Their minor inconveniences are a little worse than mine, but still, I think that's the kind of vibe I would like to see in a couple episodes in season 10, you know, just to bring this energy back. It feels very, very 911-y, as Rachel would say. Mm-hmm.
That is what I would say. Yeah, I love how it's like all humor, no breaks. Like we get to see the just like pure 118 on the job vibes. Like I don't think I've laughed so much during one particular episode so much. You know, there are humorous moments in so many episodes, but this is just kind of like just laughing throughout the whole thing, like the whole montage, just dying. I love that we really get that scene where they're stuck in the engine and we get to see those engine chats like at its best. And I know we always want to see more of those, and they've brought them back a little bit, but I would still like to see more. You know, just like talking about everything while they're on the job. I just think this sense of humor is kind of unmatched. It's so them.
Probably one of the reasons this episode is so good is like a quarter of it is engine chats.
Yeah. I miss those.
Me too.
Well, like they try to give us some in season 9, but like we need more.
Yeah.
Yes, please. I think they supplemented some of those with like gym, like in the gym talks, you know, which like are kind of similar enough that I'm like, okay, but
locker room too. Yeah.
Yeah. It has the same vibes. But yeah, I think this is one of the 911 episodes of all time.
Fire Engine's just different because it's like a hostage situation. You know what I mean? Like, even when they aren't stuck there.
Like, you're trapped in the car. You can't leave. What are you going to do? Jump out of the fire engine?
It's the closest you can get to the aura of like a family dinner when you're a child.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're stuck there. And like, if your parents want to have a difficult conversation, you get to, like, you just have to deal with it. So I think that's why it's some of the best parts of 911 are always the engine chats, because it's like, well, you're all stuck here together, so like you can't run away from this conversation. So like we're going to, it's normally like against whoever they're like ganging up against, like their will.
Yeah. And it sometimes has this same energy of like, you guys don't behave, I'm going to turn this car around, except they can't because they're on the job.
Yeah, they're on their way somewhere.
Yeah, this is an episode that I would like to like pick and choose to show someone like what an essence of 911 is. I know we talked so much about last week, like Buck Begins is or like 404, 405 is like very, this is 911 in terms of like the drama and like the heart and some of the like the deeper stuff. And this is the levity. So you get like that balance of it.
Yeah.
And I do think also that this episode was needed.
Oh yeah.
After
Buck's emotional
like in
trauma.
sequential order after 404 and 405. Because like those were two very heavy episodes and you kind of like need a little bit of a laugh.
Agreed.
You need some jokes.
I think it'd be really funny if you were like, hey, friend who's never watched 911, watch Ocean's 911 and Jinx. And they're like, oh, those are so fun. I'm going to watch this show. And then they're like, why am I crying at the end of every other episode? I thought this was a funny show.
Well, that's like Trent, because he said the first one he saw was Ocean's 911. And that's like so not the typical format. This is more this is a little more familiar, but it's like that middle ground between like normal and kind of like out of the ordinary. Sorry.
A normal turn of phrase that we can't fucking use anymore.
No.
Thanks, 911.
I love it though. Unironically. I did think it was so funny that we were like the last couple episodes, guys, prepare for Buck season. And then it's like this episode is actually very Eddie centric. It's like, we're back.
Well, it's kind of like once he gets with Anna.
Hashtag her.
Once he gets with Anna. Yes, she has a name. She's allowed to be named. There are other people who are not allowed to be named. Anyway, after he gets with Anna, it's kind of like, then it's like Buck Taylor, some Eddie Anna, Sniper.
Like Duck Duck Goose.
Sniper, Buddie. Oh, wait, but actually Buck Taylor. And we're back to Eddie Anna. So,
well, we also have the infamous Buck Taylor Eddie episode.
Yeah.
Coming up. I'm really excited for that one.
Isn't that like
Treasure Hunt.
Literally 3 episodes before the that's
yeah.
Also gives you the good vibes before it's like, and we're gonna rip those out of your hands again. So it's kind of like the opposite order of these like 3 episodes. So evil. I love it. Excellent.
We're gonna need the jaws of life over here.
No articles. I got no quotes for you guys today. I'm so sorry. I really looked. There was nothing.
There's nothing for them to really say about this episode.
No, and I think they typically like they do press for like the big
character,
and this was
or big
and this
emergency.
Is an episode. So I think they were writing stuff. Well, not to us, but I think like. So we'll just go right into production stuff. So this is Taylor Wong's first episode. Like she knocked it out of the park with this.
Everyone cheer.
She's like the whimsiest of them all.
Yeah. I like Taylor Wong's episodes.
Same.
I think we all do. Yeah.
We love her. Like, and I know we've mentioned a few times, like some of the other writers who like their first episodes were just like incredible. Like I think it was Juan Carlos Cotto did Dosed, and that was his first one. We were like, incredible, amazing. Andrew Myers did Ocean's 911. We were like, fantastic. Like these really ensemble heavy episodes that are like the first ones for these writers. It's just so good.
But they're in the room before they write episodes.
Yes.
They're not just like, hi, I'm... This is my first day on 911.
Just like show up out of nowhere. No, exactly. And I do have on here. So Taylor Wong was a script coordinator for 3 episodes in season 1 of Lone Star. So she was also a script coordinator for 911 in season 3. She was a staff writer in season 4. I think that's when they start having episodes. And then I think she moved up as a story editor or executive story editor in seasons 5 and 6. So like she's been in the rooms for these for a few years. And you see like that's just kind of the like working your way up the ladder sort of thing. But this is like the first one that she has her name on. Yeah. And I think if you look at some of her resume for 911, you'll see kind of a theme of like superstitiousness in a lot of them. So we have like, just to pull out a couple, we have 514 Dumb Luck, 607 Cursed, 805 Masks. Those are all very, kind of similar in theme. And I love those are fantastic episodes. And even though it touches on similar aspects of these themes, it does it in like different ways that are still novel and exciting that makes us really enjoy those episodes. Like, I think we all like Cursed and Masks a lot. And then just some other interesting facts. I think her father is James Wong, who is a writer and director in his own right. You may know him from some of his notable works, like Final Destination. He directed also Final Destination 3. He was on the X-Files, like 61 episodes as a writer, director, and or co-executive producer. He did 102 episodes of American Horror Story as a co-executive producer. So like there's some talent in this family, and it's interesting because we also will see eventually James Wong also direct some episodes of 911, and specifically James Wong will direct mostly episodes written by Taylor Wong. So we have 508 Defend in Place, 607 Cursed, 707 Ghost of a Second Chance. And I think the only other episode that James Wong directed that was not written by Taylor Wong was 801 Buzzkill. And that was written by Molly Green and James Leffler. So just kind of interesting how we have like this team up, and obviously they work really well together. So, but it's really cool to see like how those dynamics make for really interesting episodes as well. And then for directing, we have Jan Turner yet again. I talked a little bit about her work last week, so you can listen to our Buck Begins episode. I don't want to repeat it too much, but it was just like really interesting that she had two back-to-back like consecutive episodes that she was directing. I feel like that's not super typical to have besides like the big emergency stuff. So we'll see like Brad Beaker direct like maybe 2 of the 3 opening emergencies, but that's kind of it. So I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like that's like an interesting outlier, and also like the breadth of her talent to be able to tackle 2 very different episodes in tone and have them both be so strong is a testament to her as well. And then I know I brushed over a lot of these, but some of the little emergencies during that Don't Stop Me Now montage were actually, it seems to be like some deleted scenes from previous episodes. So I haven't been able to like verify all of these, but I did reference like the 911 fandom wiki. They didn't have sources for these, but I think they were updated like as it was going on. So I'll take it with a grain of salt, but like I think there's some merit to these. So the movie theater scene apparently was supposed to happen in Awful People in season 2. I think that was 205. And I think that was written by Kristen Rydell. That would make sense to me. It kind of seemed like the guy who, when he had like his head stuck under there, he's like, easy, easy. He seemed like kind of not like the chillest. So like that could work thematically. The kid stuck in the washing machine apparently was supposed to be from Kids Today. So that would have been 301. And I think you can tell with that one, like Eddie has his season 3 like buzz cut haircut. So you can like place it a little better in terms of season. And then the octopus, this was the one that I was able to kind of like corroborate a little bit. So the octopus landing on the girl in the restroom was probably, or like most likely, from 306 Monsters, because the original synopsis of that episode, this was the Halloween episode. So the synopsis mentioned an office employee having a close encounter with an 8-limbed creature. And obviously that did not show up in that episode, but that would also make sense for like an episode titled Monsters. I think they ended up going more of the like metaphorical monster route rather than like, this would have been a very typical 911 of like hit you on the head with it sort of thing. So that's the one that I was able to find. And also with that one too, you can see like Eddie does have his like season 3 haircut. So that's how like I know that those were from season 3 specifically, but that's it. I just think it's interesting when they end up, and we've seen this again more recently with a call from season 7 showing up in season 8,
which was really noticeable because Buck's hair looked stupid again. CGI mustache.
Oh God.
Yeah.
It's
like sometimes you can tell that it's like stitched together, but I do find it really interesting, like, because we know they film so much more than we actually see. We know things specifically like smaller emergencies get cut. And I like when they're able to kind of recycle those and put them somewhere else where it like does make sense to use it. And something like this, where it's like a quick montage and put them in another place. This is also the first appearance of Ravi.
Yay!
Yay for Ravi!
The prettiest princess.
And it's also interesting because in this first episode, Anirudh Pisharodi is credited only as Probie. So he doesn't get Ravi's name. No, he doesn't have a name in this episode. He's just credited as Probie.
Oh.
But when we see him again in Treasure Hunt in 412, then he gets a name. And then we learn it's like Ravi Panikar. So, yay. And then I just have one more thing, if you will indulge me for a moment, because I have a bone to pick.
We all have a bone to pick.
Yes. So feel free to jump in here. But there has been some confusion about Jinx being a bottle episode. And I am here to tell you that it is not. So at Rescueverse Chicago in, what was it, March?
Yes.
There was a question posed to Ryan, Oliver, and Kenny if there were any types of episodes or emergencies that they would love to see that they haven't gotten to do yet.
Well, and the person who asked the question said like a bottle, like they specifically said,
yes,
like a bottle episode.
Yes, thank you. So Kenny said, we did an episode where we were stuck in the truck, right? Sort of, didn't we? Kenny said, I wanted an episode where it was a whole thing. And
Tim said we already did one.
We did that. You guys were stuck there that whole time. Cue someone near and dear to us saying, well, Tim's a liar. And he is.
I think I said he's a liar.
You did.
In that exact inflection.
Yes, because that is not, in fact, a bottle episode. And I will tell you why. Because a bottle episode is an episode that is typically inexpensive to produce. And that's, it helps with saving budget. And it's typically confined to one or very, very few, but pretty much one setting with as few actors, effects, and sets as possible. This had so many other things. Yeah, we had like a little bit of a clip show with like recycling a couple of the previous calls, but they were going to so many different places. And if we include the setup for the scene with like leaving the elevator call, and if we still include the cutaway to Josh and Linda at dispatch, the scene and surrounding bits of them getting stuck in the engine goes from like minute 16:08 to 21:37. So that's 5.5 minutes, which is only about 7.5% of the episode. Therefore, I must conclude that we have not yet had a bottle episode. And I would like one very much, please, preferably in the station with like have it be like a mirror to this episode where it's like an actual keyword shift. And also we get to see the bunks. Anyways, thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Imagine Tim didn't even say this. Kenny just misremembering.
Kenny's a liar. Either way, not a bottle episode. And I did the math.
I was just going to add like the firehouse one, like they should find a way to like trap them in there. Like the bay doors don't even open. We're just stuck there.
Yes.
I think, controversial opinion, season opener bottle episode, because if there's a natural disaster happening outside, no one can come and help them. And it would make sense why they're stuck there inside the firehouse. Because it's like, well, you guys are fine. No one's going to prioritize getting them free.
They've got resources. They've got food. They've got beds. They've got whatever.
But yeah,
I don't know. And, that could help save some budget for some of the other the other stuff. So, have the bottle episode be episode 1, and then it goes into the emergency, for 2 and 3. That could work too, because then you get that opportunity to like catch up with everybody and get into like the character stuff and set that up. And then emergency, so that's all on pause for a moment.
The blackout could have served that as a little bit of a bottle episode. Because, we did get, like, night at the fire station. And, like, we had the cots and stuff set up. And, I don't know, they just had more, conversations in there. So.
There was more chaos to be had. But, yeah, like a lock-in. Anyways, so not a bottle episode. Would still like to see one. Thanks.
Okay, just 2 things for a needle drop. There were a lot of songs in the episode, but I just want to talk about 2 of them. The first one, not that deep, but one of my favorite songs and bands is Don't Stop Me Now by Queen, and that's playing during the whole montage, ridiculous emergency scene, and it's just there for the irony, right? Because it's like upbeat, like I'm having the best time ever, don't don't harsh my vibe, don't like get in my way, and it's like meanwhile they're having like the chef from
the
hell.
Worst day.
Yeah, exactly. So that was just there for the lulz, which I love. And then we have this song that plays during Eddie and Anna's date, which is Waterloo Sunset by the Kinks. And I looked up what the fuck it means. And Ray Davies, I think the singer from the Kinks, in an interview, which we'll link with mojoformusic.com, said the meaning of that song is bound up in the atmosphere it creates. It's a love song. It's about people I've met, people I know. It's also about people in the future, the people crossing over the river for a better world. What about the people that don't cross over yet? Well, that's my perspective. I'm the person singing. I'm the person staying behind. So like the whole song, I don't really want to dig into the lyrics because it's kind of just more like overall what it's about. But it's like, it is like outside looking at or inside looking out, right? Like looking out your window at other people like living their lives. And like, I guess you can read it several ways because you can read it as like, this person's lonely and they're just like watching other people like do their thing and like maybe feeling like maybe they want to do that or should be doing that. But I kind of, in the way that I think we specifically read Eddie, kind of am looking at it like, it's not really about a river or like the view from like the singer or like the storyteller's point of view. It's about finding peace and solitude and like and like small repeated rituals, like rather than in like social connection.
Would you say, the finding one's particular joys?
Yes. So I just think it's really interesting that it's playing there over this date at the end. It's supposed to be like, oh my God, it's the beginning of something magical. And then you've listened to the lyrics and you're like,
Like it's a love song, but like also, is it a love song?
It's a love song about looking at other people in love.
Well, that's kind of interesting too, because then you have, and this might be like stretching a little bit, I don't know, but you have Eddie who's kind of looking at what other people around him are doing, like Buck is moving on and maybe trying to figure out if he needs to like join the herd per se, like not the best way to phrase that, but just kind of like, instead of being like left out alone, like just kind of like go with them and like be part of that thing, even though he doesn't necessarily wanna.
Or how I kind of read it is like, even though he's now participating in the thing, he still feels like he's like looking at it as like a third party observer.
That too.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Much to think about. Their music choices are always so either on the nose funny or like thinkers.
Yeah.
I've connected the dots.
You didn't connect shit. Okay, so we're in our red string or mostly Rachel's red string corner. I'm just here. I'm just participating. I'm just here. Anyway, we do have a Buckapedia moment. So Eddie, being who he is, he references to like spiritual figures or like traditions within like Mexican culture or Mexican Catholicism. He talks about his abuela's neighbors, curandera. So a curandera is a traditional healer in a Mexican and Mexican American communities practicing curanderismo, which is a tradition that braids indigenous medicine with folk Catholicism. Curanderas work with herbs, prayer, and ritual cleansings called limpias. They treat conditions that don't exist in clinical medicine. susto, an illness caused by fright, loosening the soul, and mal de ojo, which is harm carried in an envious glance. Which I do have a couple of those bracelets for the mal de ojo. It's like the thing with the little eyes.
Oh, like the evil eye thing?
Yeah, it's the evil eye thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
In many communities, they're the first person consulted when someone falls ill, sometimes the only one, and they're consulted in earnest. The next figure, which is a little bit more interesting, is Santa Muerte, which is Our Lady of Holy Death, a folk saint depicted as a robed skeleton carrying a scythe and a globe. She's venerated by millions across Mexico with a following that has grown enormously in recent decades. Devotees petition her for healing, protection, safe passage, the return of the missing, and a good death. Her following is concentrated among people the institutional church has failed or excluded: the poor, the incarcerated, the sick, the queer, the women of the border cities. The Vatican has condemned her devotion outright, and it hasn't slowed. She is precisely the saint of people who weren't let in. Which, interesting, because we're talking about, this is Eddie talking about her, but as we're just laughing off this, this saint, because he doesn't believe in any of this stuff. But I think it's just interesting because, you know what happens. I mean, there's two things here. I mean, it's the queer representation of like what's really behind Eddie. And then there's also the fact that this man gets sniped. So at the end of the season, so it's just kind of like, maybe your jinx like carries on all the way down to the finale.
His personal jinx.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Maybe he should have believed.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be something interesting to kind of like keep a tab on for the rest of the season.
This is kind of the first time we're like directly addressing his like faith, even if it's not necessarily in religion.
Like his belief system.
Yeah, his belief system.
Yeah. Yeah. And Syl, didn't you, when you were like looking up the bare bones note, like kind of explanation.
What did I say? I don't remember what I said last night.
There was something about like her protecting against gun violence.
Oh, here we go. Influences. Yeah, so she has a wide variety of supernatural powers, which is love, prosperity, good health, fortune, healing, safe passage, protection against witchcraft, protection against assault, against gun violence, and against violent deaths. So
I mean, yeah, when you read that last night, that really like piqued my interest because I'm like, oh, that is so weirdly coincidental. Like so coincidental that Eddie wouldn't believe it, right?
Yeah.
Because of what happens at the end of season 4. And that's I really wonder if he is individually jinxed for the rest of the season because he didn't believe.
Yeah.
So
looks that way.
He didn't
He's
have her
jinxed
protection.
himself.
Yeah.
By not accepting the jinx.
Yep.
Interesting.
By not accepting things. Got it. Yes. Okay. This is an interesting conversation. I would love to dive into more about that kind of stuff.
I know we'll talk a little bit more about this in parallels, but I think this is now a little bit more interesting with what we've gotten in season 9 with Dia de los Muertos. And then like, I guess like maybe our personal reading of like what happened to him at the end of the season, getting stabbed at a church.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. So it's...
No, wait. So this has happened like twice about not believing in stuff.
No, but the thing is...
and then getting, hurt.
But that's the thing, though, because he's like trying to believe in stuff like in season 9. And it's still kind of turns around and laughs at his face a little bit, I mean, he does survive on his own. It's just he still gets injured in some kind of like weird universe basically playing into his face,
Yeah. I have a comment on, like some of Eddie's belief systems that I think I'm going to talk about or mention in Slow Burn. So yeah, we'll come back to that.
But then you also have like I think we need to talk about like the St. Christopher medal because like I don't know if he really believes in the St. Christopher of it all, but he definitely believes of like how it's tied into, how it's tied to his son. Like he thinks about his son. So it's like the people, which is something that I kept saying, like he should believe in his people. So.
Yes.
And it's like he does, but he doesn't. I don't know if he needs to verbally acknowledge this or something. It's I don't know. It's just an interesting.
There's like some sort of mental block for Eddie, and we can talk about this later, probably in our scene dissection. But yeah, it's like there's this mental block for Eddie where he says like he doesn't believe in things, but then if he's like trying to believe in things, it's still not really like connecting for him.
Yeah, he's just putting his faith in the wrong things.
I think there's like such a interesting larger conversation about Eddie and belief systems and faith in certain things.
Sure, we'll talk about it in our religion coding special.
Yeah, I want to do that so bad.
Are we in parallels now?
Mm-hmm. Basically. Okay. So I guess just to get into a little more like specific parallels or foreshadowy things, I really felt like this episode is like a spiritual sister to 107, which was the full moon creepy AF episode. We even have like Josh and Linda mentioning this stuff was so weird. I really thought it was the full moon. And that just like really harkens back to that for me. And it's just like, that is, that kind of weirdness or like flavor of weird. And then the whole thing about the guy Brian impersonating a firefighter from the 147. To me, there's something about that. And I don't think I can really like articulate what, but every time I watch this episode, I'm just like, I'm thinking of like, for me, something about that connects to like foreshadowing the sniper at the end of this season. I'm not sure exactly why. As much as I can like sound it out, it's almost like you have someone on the outside, which is this guy, Brian, wanting to help. But then at the end of the season with the sniper, it's someone from like the inside, basically, who's causing harm. And it's kind of like an inverse situation for me. I don't know. That's as far as I can really like articulate it, but something in my brain like connects those. That makes any sense. And then we kind of have the 133 haunting the 118's narrative because we have who comes to the 118's rescue when they're trapped inside the engine by the live power pole. Oh, just, Captain Meta's firehouse, who we met in the last episode, and we will see again come to their rescue in 414. So that's interesting. And then we kind of have this running theme of sparks flying, but not in the way you think, with the amount of times that Eddie has had unlucky brushes with like electricity and high voltage kind of situations, because we have like Eddie Begins, where the lightning struck the drill that collapsed the well. We have this in Jinx with the live power pole, while Eddie like disavows his belief in superstitions and fate and curses or jinxes or whatever. Then you have the electric happenstance with the blimp in the season 6 opening, and then the lightning strike in a flash in season 6, which hits both Buck and Eddie because he was on the ladder. So I don't know. You'd think the universe was screaming at him or something. Wanted to point all that out.
This is kind of mostly a joke, but there's something similar to me in essence.
Oh my God.
Of Bobby handing over like the duct tape that, fell off of the naked wrapper and giving it to Eddie, like he's giving it to Eddie and saying like, keep it for good luck. That reminded me of season 9, episode 7, Secrets, with the opening call with the chastity belt and all of that.
I'm dying.
I don't know. I don't have anything deeper to say. It's just
something connected it in your brain, just like something connected in my brain with the other thing.
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah, like there's something to that, I think. I love that your brain decided on that.
And then actual parallels. So the 118, like, it is in trouble, like, cold open, of this, because it's like you don't really know what's happening with the 118, but you just see that, like, Athena is chasing them with the sirens on. It felt very similar to, like, Ocean's 911 and, like, how they're in trouble, like, at the opening, right? And then also at the closing of both of these episodes, how, like, the team is, like, breaking down, like, what actually happened, like you do in a typical heist movie. They're just very similar in tone.
I love when they do that because it's like explaining.
And then maybe like the funniest / weirdest parallel is ill-advised dates at the end of episodes. Because Eddie and Anna here are really giving me Buck and Tommy in 705.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reasoning's very similar too, because like if you think of 705 and Buck's like, you said that I wasn't ready for this, and like I'm ready for something, and I guess that can be with you. And Eddie's like, oh, well, I was told that I should move on. So anyway, I'm here. That was okay that I called you, right? It's giving, I might as well do this.
Yeah.
And you were there. Just really interesting. And it's like, I don't know, because they're both sitting down outside, like in a cafe, and like the like romantic-esque music is played, and it's like supposed to give like the typical feeling of like, oh, it's the start of something like cute little rom-com thing. And meanwhile, I'm like, why is this weird? Anyway,
watching that scene going,
I'm
just
not done. New page. Then the call with the whatever the fuck was happening with the lady who had the lion costume head stuck on her, and she's right by a pool, really reminding me of 201 with those motherfuckers who keep
Chase Army.
Yeah, who keep harassing their friend who had cement stuck on his head, and they were right by a pool. And
No, yes.
This is just
can't figure out what was happening in this one.
Spiritual relation, just vibes. The fire suppression foam in the locker room and the clowns. This was Rachel's input.
Yeah.
There's like the vibes of like how it's like one person who's kind of like in distress and then everyone else kind of laughing at them or laughing at the situation is very similar to the car wash call in season 1, episode 5.
Yeah. And also like for me with the clowns that connected it, because like they were just laughing in that car wash thing. And it's so infectious. Like they start laughing. I start laughing.
Yeah. The like flailing around physical comedy of Buck and the poor car wash guy was very similar.
Like wrapped around in the thing. Yeah. Totally.
I kind of already mentioned this already, but like this is like a growth parallel anyway, because like in Jinx, like I said, he's just laughing off the deities or spiritual figures and Jinx and curses and all of that. But like, you know, we're finally 5 seasons later, he's trying to find some kind of faith, but which ultimately he ends up finding like comfort in his community through the celebration of Dia de los Muertos, where you see him at the end setting up an ofrenda and celebrating with Chris.
Yeah.
So growth.
It kind of comes a little full circle in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flashover.
And then, surprisingly, in a strange turn of events, I have things to say for themes.
Oh my God, yay. I will add on to your thoughts.
So I think the most obvious one is superstitions or disbelief, like the kind of juxtaposition there, because you kind of fall somewhere on the scale between one or the other.
And that's kind of like what you believe or what you buy into and what those forces beyond your control, whether you worry about them or not, and whatever you think those forces may be, you know, it can be any of those things.
And then also, again, 2 sides of the coin, being stuck versus moving on or looking towards the future, as Buck says, which is pretty self-explanatory. Yeah. Therapy, one of my favorite themes. Would love to see it more instead of just saying that we're doing it. I think anxiety is a huge theme in this episode because I really think that superstition and anxiety tie together.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And when you're anxious, you can kind of fulfill bad thoughts, you know, just by being anxious and kind of, like Bobby says, you know, makes people squirrely and then mistakes get made kind of thing. I don't know. It's a theme of like being open and saying that like you're going to therapy or like you're working through things and you're moving on, but like you're kind of not really, like you're kind of just like you're kind of talk. You're kind of just like out loud or like actions like being like, and I'm moving forward, but you haven't actually dealt with any of the baggage of the stuff that was the problem.
No, I think you're right. And I kind of put therapy under this like umbrella of like communication, because you have this going to therapy, which is talking about like being open. And then we also see stuff about like, you know, holding things in, just like in the last couple episodes, like secrets are ticking time bomb, like holding things in until they explode. In this case, I kind of equated that to like Buck accidentally outing Eddie and Anna's run-in. to everybody else. But then you also have like in this communication umbrella, like airing out grievances that we've also seen where like Eddie just does not shut up about how ridiculous he thinks this idea of the Jinx is. But to what you were saying also about like the therapy, the thing being like open, but also like not really like following that up. I feel like that's kind of related to perseverance, almost like this whole idea of like writing it out and pushing through the pain or the fear that we see so much in this episode. And Eddie talks about admiring the guy Brian's perseverance. But I think Eddie doesn't always want to push through it. I think he likes to sit in that pain.
Call it perseverance. I would call it repression, because if you have an issue and you don't deal with it and you shove it down, that's literally the definition of repression.
That's the thing. He admires the perseverance, but he's not actually pushing through. He's staying stuck where he is and like looking at the past. He's also kind of like, with that being stuck idea, we're also seeing some like, with Buck in the last couple episodes, we saw that search for identity. I also think like Eddie is feeling a little bit lost in this sense, a sense of identity of
They're
like
very parallel
who he
right
wants
now.
to be moving forward. They really are. So you have like Eddie contemplating moving on after Shannon. So he's like planning for the future by looking at the past, which we've seen a lot of as well. And then there's my favorite theme for this season, which is like the you're getting more than you bargained for 1-2 punch, where they said the Q word and they really are quite literally getting more than they bargained for with this Jinx.
Just also a 911 show theme.
A little bit, but I feel like it really punches you in the face in season 4. And I just enjoy that one. So yeah.
I was gonna add to that theme of perseverance, I think, or at least in regards to Eddie, which I know we're gonna talk more about this particular line in our slow burn section, but like it's kind of like when he's like to Buck when he says you could take more time and so that one it's kind of just like him. That's where he's at, mentally. Like he's taking his own time, but it's kind of like I hate the talk with Bobby, but like I hate it. But like but I mean, there probably could have been someone else to push him forward, to move on from Shannon and all of that. But like, I don't think that was the way to go, which was basically push him on to another woman,
Yeah, because I mean, we can just talk about this in the later section, but it's just like moving on doesn't necessarily mean like, well, let me date another woman. It's like, well, why don't you process your grief?
Yeah.
Why don't you work through that?
Yeah.
That would be like
moving on doesn't
that would
mean
be moving
jumping into
forward.
something new.
You know what I mean, and not being stuck. But
I had that thought too. There was more emphasis about moving on rather than moving forward or through. And I feel like that's a nitpick, like differentiation, but still valid,
Yeah, I think both Eddie and Buck are doing the same thing, which is being like, we're moving forward, but they're just repressing. That's the theme for me. Moving forward by repressing.
They're trying to write it out and push through all the things.
That's
but
not how that works.
It's not really, you can't force it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's not how trauma works.
And that is what they're doing. They're just forcing it. Anyway.
I love them so much.
Oh my God.
Big dum-dums. Anyway.
Yeah.
Hey! Where's the fire?
All right. Ladies and gentlemen and thembians, it is our first scene dissection in, I feel like, a year.
Oh, yeah.
Who knows how long? I forget.
But welcome. If you haven't listened to one before or in a while, we talk about one scene for a while because there's normally a lot to get into in these. So we're going to talk about, how long did you say the scene was?
5.5 minutes.
This 5.5 fire engine scene.
Which is a long,
That's a long
scene, just like in general.
Yeah.
Like that,
especially
that is an
have them
extended
moving.
scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I understand why it's thought of as like more of a bottle-y sort of thing. The scene is it's a bottle scene, but
in one location.
I know. I do think it is an extended scene because usually there's typically like 6 acts in an episode. So in a 42-minute episode, divide by 6 is like...
No, it's kind of average.
It's about, okay, it's fine. It's kind of average. Well, it's like a whole act in itself. I think there are multiple scenes in an act sometimes. Anyways, that's getting too technical of things that I actually don't know much about. So
anyway, so this whole scene is about how like they had a normal call and Eddie is taking this opportunity to try and just like lord it over everyone's head that
he's like, a win is a win.
It's not even that. He's just like, he's like, well, this is definitive proof that I'm right and you're all being weird, because that was a normal call. Out of all of the things we've done today, it was normal. So there's no Jinx, which is not the best logic he's ever used.
No.
And I don't know. I think there's something so interesting about him vehemently being so against the idea of a curse, where it's like we know Bobby doesn't believe in it, but he believes in their belief in it. Right. Mm-hmm. So I just think that there's something going on a little deeper with that he's in so much denial about, like, that he has to so strongly and vocally, you know, aggressively even tell them that they're being crazy and ridiculous.
It's almost like the lady doth protest too much.
I don't know.
Like, you guys are crazy for doing that. And it's like, they're not really. Look at everything that's happened. And like, you can't, like, how can you deny that something strange is afoot? You know, whatever you want to call it. And it's just like true universal karma. He's saying all of this, like,
which line are you trying to find?
Is it that I don't worry about things that I can't control, because everyone take a moment and laugh, point and laugh.
We were watching.
I think it was earlier than that.
We were watching this episode together last night, and he said that line, and I literally paused and we laughed for like a full minute.
We really did.
It's one of the funniest things he's ever said. It's that John Mulaney. I said like a liar.
Yeah, it was the line. It's not that important of a line, but Eddie was like, the point is, I think this proves that the whole Jinx thing is a little silly and we should all be done with it. Cue the live power pole falling on them like immediately after he finishes that sentence. And it's just like,
oh yeah,
how do you not, like, that's so many coincidences of like you disavowing, disbelieving the thing, and then karma comes to bite you in the butt immediately.
Right after Bobby was like,
this is just what happens to him.
Nobody is saying you have to believe in curses, just maybe don't tempt fate. And then what does this motherfucker do? Tempts fate, and fate says, fuck you.
Really
so, listen, I'm more on Eddie's kind of end of the like, this stuff is silly, right? But like, even I am like, if so much stuff is going wrong, even if I don't believe that that's a jinx, I'm like, I'm not going to tempt fate.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, I'm not going to say that out loud, that like, oh, maybe we're over the worst of it. Maybe this day is good. You know what I mean? Like, it's the whole idea of like, are like superstitions and things like jinxes silly? Yes. But also cosmically, it can't hurt to not tempt fate.
Right? Because it's like what Chimney says later on in the scene. It's like, oh, there are clearly forces at work here, forces beyond my control and your control. And it's just like, you kind of, I don't know. I find it hard to deny that there isn't something, you know, doing something. I don't know what that is, but I don't want to like anger whatever it is. You know, just like err on the side of caution. Essentially, it's like, I can't explain it. I may not know what it is, but like, I feel like there's something.
I will say that I do believe in karma, like as just like an energy thing, because I really think that like, you get back the energy that you put out into the world, right? So Eddie was kind of being a little bitch to everying.
This is so funny. I think just like coming off of season 9, I think this is just too funny because he was being bitchy at the hospital and then he gets stabbed because guess who happened to hear all that? Yeah. You know? And then it's just karmic retribution. Like, I don't know, Eddie, I think you need to, I love you, man. I really do. I hope nobody takes this as me being an Eddie hater, but shut up for like, you know, a second. I need you to shut up. You're going to end up dying.
Yeah.
No, I think there's something.
His relationship with Jeff is just also just interesting. Okay.
Yes.
That's a whole other thing.
That is a whole other conversation. I would love to get into that at some point. But I think there is something to like Eddie Diaz being the universe's favorite karmic plaything, because this happens so often where he acts out a little bit and he is just kind of like poo-pooing so much, just so much that I think he's also trying to convince himself to not believe in. And then the universe is just like, with swift immediacy, just like, I'm going to prove you wrong right now. Like, doesn't have to like, there's no red tape, like no universal like bureaucratic red tape to get through. It's just like Eddie is just like a fast tracked. Yeah. Like to the beginning of the line for like, no, listen, actually.
My favorite form of Eddie is when he is being bitchy, but like, don't be bitchy to the universe.
No. Yeah. Cause it's just like, I wrote out like, with him saying all of the stuff as they're like getting into the engine. And then I'm like, okay, Sassmaster 3000, where's your God now?
It's also like, to me, even if I thought all of my friends were being fucking insane, because this is insanity. The whole like looking up, like Chimney's looking up how to lift a curse, and there's like bells and herbs involved, and then Hen's like, well, no, we said it's a curse, but I think it's technically a jinx. And they're like, what's the difference? It's like, well, a curse, someone puts it on you, and a jinx is a general angering of the gods. And then Buck's like, oh, I'm on that. How do we lift the jinx? And he's like, I don't know, this is a lot of animal and human sacrifice, and I don't think I'm cool with that. Listen, if my friends were having that conversation, I would be sitting there judging the fuck out of them. But I also would be like, this is getting to them so badly that clearly I need to be supportive or helpful in some way. Right.
And that's what Bobby does.
And that's what Bobby does, right? Because like I would take more his path where it's like, I don't tell them they're crazy because I don't think that is helpful. As Taylor Swift said, every time you call me crazy, I get more crazy. How about that? So I just really think there's so much to read into. I don't think we have time for it. But like his like vehement disbelief and how he just like, we've seen him humor stuff that he doesn't like necessarily agree or go along with before. So like, why is this the sticking point for him? That he's like, no, I'm just going to keep digging my heels in deeper and deeper and deeper. Like he never stops.
Which is, this is tied into like his religious trauma, to be honest, because
100%.
Yeah. When you think, again, 905, should have watched 905. should have watched, in hindsight, we should have watched 905. But like, it's one of,
probably have that memorized by now.
Well, like, his conversation with Abuela, where he's like, I don't feel God's presence or whatever. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, you needed something to rebel against or something like that. Like he, because like he didn't believe in it. He hated going to church, and he was just like, I don't want to participate in this. And I think even like the Jinx stuff and this like angering of the gods, these spiritual deities, like it's all like there's that mental block. He's just like, no, I don't want to talk about this. I don't believe in this, and I don't like, this is stupid. So I really think it is tied into that religious trauma that he probably has.
Yeah,
that he has.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's also tied into like the current denial and repression he's in, because if we want to, move to the next step in the conversation, it's like, they're having the conversation about like how to lift the curse or the jinx. And then he's like, do you hear yourselves right now? And Buck goes, do you? It's like the universe is screaming at you and you refuse to listen. And he's like, the universe does not scream. And then
proceeds to go.
There's more electricity and zapping happening.
It's like, no, that's a pretty clear sign, I think.
Yeah. And then Jimmy's like, oh, there are forces at work here, like beyond my control and yours. And then Eddie says, that's it. That's the difference between you and I. I don't worry about things that I can't control, which is
the funniest thing he's ever said.
Just like the opposite of literally everything he's ever done. All he does is worry about things that he can't control, because yes, exactly. And it's like,
we've talked about this so often, just like,
if by I don't worry about things I can't control, he means I just like shove that shit so far deep down that I will never acknowledge it, then sure.
Wasn't there something like tied into like before Shannon dies? Like, didn't he, like the one time he was going to like believe that their relationship, wanting a sign. Yeah. For their relationship to go forward and all of that. And then, and then
it
she
was
dies.
like her saying like, I'm pregnant, but it was a false alarm.
Yeah.
And then,
so he's okay. So it's religious trauma, general repression, and then also the Shannon trauma, because it was like, I was believing in the universe and the universe gave me a sign, which was that she was pregnant, and then I proposed and she said, let's get a divorce, and then she died. So he's like, fuck the universe / God.
Yeah.
And that's why he's so vehemently angry. Okay. Yeah.
You nailed
it, Sil.
Yeah, because he's that whole line that he says, like, with I don't worry about things I can't control. And Buck's like, can you at least admit there's something controlling the things you can't control? And I think that just really lines up with how Eddie views faith, religious and non-religious faith, and just kind of refuses to look. Or maybe he's just looking in, the wrong places. Thanks, abuela.
Yeah.
And he is like doing that rebellion thing where it's like pendulum swinging so far over. It's like maybe at one point he was looking for those signs, like with Shannon. He got some pretty big signs that he didn't like. So he's refusing to look at it anymore. And just like, this is totally like, I'm just going to disregard all of that and actually say it's a farce, because I don't want to grapple with the idea that it maybe is an actual sign sort of thing. And I don't want to believe in that kind of universe.
Well, it's also this exact like behavior pattern, right? Because like, yes, he's bitchy, but the way he's acting and just being so dismissive of everyone else's like feelings and like, you know what I mean? Because it's like, is it unserious? Kind of, but it's like they are upset. So it's very dismissive of your friends / family to be so vehement. And I'm like, it's kind of just like he literally has been triggered. It's like a PTSD trigger. And that's why he's so vehement and borderline really mean about it.
This is the hill that he's decided to die on. And he's not moving.
Because it's really not about them. It's about him.
It's about him, and it's about the universe and how he sees it and how it hasn't treated him very well. So he's angry at it. But I just also really love how everybody else reacts and tries to like process this Jinx, because it's so inherently them as well. Because like Chimney is just like, we know he's a believer and he kind of goes all in. So he's trying to find, you know, like the woo-wooiest like way to break the curse, and he's already on it. Like he and Buck are so similar in like trying to find a solution, trying to fix it. Like Chimney just fully buys into it. Hen is like logicking it, but like, and we've talked about this before, she actually has so much kind of like belief in these outside forces, especially for someone who is so scientifically and like logically minded. But like, so we see her getting technical and like, okay, how do we distinguish this so we know how to approach it better and react to it and break it? And Buck is also just like fully in, especially after his like firsthand experience. So he's like, he's dealt with this before. I mean, they've all dealt with this before too, which I think also helps bolster their belief system in this. But Buck is just like, yeah, I'm in on it too, like helping Chimney look up solutions as well. And we know that Buck always looks for signs, but unlike Eddie, he really buys into it. He really believes it. Again, like 905, when he thought he was getting signs from Bobby.
Or in 805.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh God.
with the boils
or we
and
could
everything.
Keep going. There's so many episodes where he's just like,
oh my God,
no, the universe is telling me things. And it's like,
and it's
that's what the universe is saying, but
yeah, it's so funny because it's like for Eddie, it's almost like the universe really is like screaming and speaking to you. But Buck, it's not as much, but Buck wants it to be so bad. So he's like, yes, this is a sign of Bobby because it's important to me. And that's his belief system. And I do think that it's so interesting that Athena's like, you don't believe in that stuff. And Bobby's like, no, I don't. But like you said, Han, he does believe in everyone else's beliefs. It also like kind of ties back into 207 ghost stories when they were making the pumpkins. And I think Harry or May was asking if Bobby believed in ghosts because they were talking about Buck and his belief in ghosts because it was that call from like however many years ago. And Bobby gives, again, a logical answer without actually and validating to everyone else's without actually like really disclosing his own personal
because
beliefs.
He doesn't want to invalidate anyone else's belief, especially I think in the captain or like father position where it's like I don't want to discourage them or sway them to my own belief by saying what mine is or saying that I don't believe theirs. Like I want them to believe whatever they believe.
Yeah. I do also think that maybe there's just like a little teeny part of him because we know Bobby has so much religious faith. I wonder if there's like a teeny part of him that does kind of maybe or is a little willing to believe in that again because of how quickly he stopped Eddie from saying the Q word again.
I think it's literally he's just like, no, they're fucking insane. If you say it again, this will last for a week.
I like playing with the little belief.
I think I'm with you, Rachel. I think there's like a small, teeny weensy little part of him that's like, you know, just to be sure.
Just in case.
I don't think he wants to tempt fate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, maybe there's just like the teeny
But that's what I'm saying where it's like, I don't believe in this stuff, but I also don't want to tempt fate. So that's like where I feel like I'm aligned with Bobby, where I'm like, I don't believe in the woo-woo stuff. I mean, like I do believe in karma. It's like the only belief system I have because I'm very agnostic. But yeah, like all of this, I'm like, I don't know that we like angered anything, but like, we're not going to do anything to make it worse. That's for fucking damn sure.
Yeah.
So shut up.
We're gonna just
shut up.
Err on the side of caution of all of the things, universe, fate, whatever. Just like
keep that bad juju to yourself, Eddie.
I think the last thing I have to say on this is there's this like throwaway line that's not really a throwaway line because like we know there aren't really throwaway lines. This one is specifically a setup for like how the power pole like falls over because of the wind. But Buck is like, man, it sure is windy. But there's also something with Buck about like, you know, the Santa Ana winds and like
they need to do a Santa Ana winds episode so badly.
I know they've like
it was gonna be like, didn't they
touched on it?
Kind of do it with like the body.
They need to do like a redux of like this kind of episode, but it's
they probably do. Then.
Everything's fucking weird because it's the Santa Ana winds.
Yeah, it just has like that same kind of like woo woo forces beyond your control vibe that I feel like would lend itself very well. So I feel like that was just like a little touch of Santa Ana winds, whether it was or not actually, but like I want them to do it.
I think it would be really interesting to do another this kind of episode to see how like where Eddie is now and like how he reacts and acts in this kind of situation.
Yeah, like how his belief systems in the universe. Faith,
we hope
himself,
it has improved.
Others. Yeah, has grown.
Because this Eddie is not the same Eddie as the one who's like, I don't know, stranger things have happened than Bobby haunting your snickerdoodle. Or like they're at the like demon possession call, quote unquote, and he, you know, does the sign of the cross. Like that's not the same person.
No.
He's like, I need to make sure.
Yeah, like just in case. No, that's one of those things where he's like, just in case. I don't want to.
Yep. I probably would do that too if I'm like entering that kind of space. I'm like, you know what? Do everything. Do all the things.
I don't even know how to correctly do that. So I don't know if it would even work.
I do like knock on wood or like, sure, I knock on my head also. I do like knock on wood all the time.
I don't know if we read this Bobby quote, which I think we should do for the closing it out, but it's just like, aren't we all a little superstitious? People don't like to walk under ladders. Some buildings don't have a 13th floor. We bless people after they sneeze. Some of us even wear good luck charm around their neck. And Eddie's like, that's not the same thing. And Bobby's like, to you, but wearing that medal reminds you of your son. It helps you feel better about the day. So if Chimney wants to ring some bells so he can feel better, what's wrong with that? You know, as long as they're not doing human or animal sacrifices. It's chill. Like, just let them do it. If it makes them, feel better, if it's not hurting other people, just let people believe what they want to believe to make themselves feel better. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is kind of like the message and takeaway, which is kind of like my general belief system.
Yeah. Because then also, like, just kind of energetically, you're putting something more positive out. So then you'll probably get something like more positive feedback, and it then becomes like a loop. So I believe in that. I think that's totally fine.
At the end of this transcript of this section, when like the 133 arrives and he's like, help has arrived. Look at that. And help is stopping to take pictures of us trapped in our own engine. Great. This is great. It says quirky, suspenseful music.
Yeah. Oh, I loved that. I think quirky is the best way to describe this episode.
But anyway, this entire scene,
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10, but also it's just Eddie making his own trauma and repression everyone's problem.
Yep.
That's what he does sometimes.
That's usually just his own problem.
Yeah. Well, maybe he should learn chain of command and lean on other people a little more often, but don't.
Who's cooking?
All right, we ready for some character analysis?
Not like we weren't already doing that. But yes. I think we are.
Okay, so let's start with Bobby.
Bobby.
I think this is one of my favorite Bobby episodes.
Is it? Are we sure?
Yeah. In general, like, other than the bad advice.
I was like, was it before or after the advice?
No, I just like when he kind of just observes everyone like a...
yeah.
like a dad.
He's just in the corner. Yeah.
And I love his little like, okay, all right.
Where he's so just kind of like
just dad
over his kids right now. It's like, okay, I have to deal with you.
Like you said earlier, where it's like the don't make me turn this car around energy. It's like that the whole episode. So it's just him being like mildly exasperated. I don't know. It's just funny to me.
That's so enjoyable because that's dad.
Yep. The first and most important part of this to me of Bobby's like kind of arc in this episode is just that like Athena is his lucky charm.
Aww.
Right? Because like she hands him the penny and then they bring it back up at the end.
Yeah. See a penny, pick it up all day long. You'll have good luck. Yeah. And I think that really does get kind of underscored later on when Bobby and Eddie have their talk, or Bobby's trying to give Eddie advice. And I know we'll go into it with more detail, but when Eddie says, something to the effect of like, and you're happy with, Athena and the kids. And Bobby's like, I love the family I have now. I really do think Athena is his lucky charm because but also in the way that like you can make your own luck, right? Because you can kind of like take the reins a little bit on these forces that you can't control and kind of like steer them one way or another, maybe a little bit. So with Bobby like fully coming into his own at the end of season 1 and moving not on, but moving forward with Athena, I think that has really helped him grow as a person so much more than he would have been if he stayed like stuck, She kind of is what he believes in beyond his Catholicism,
Yeah, very similar to Eddie's belief in Buck. Who said that?
What?
I gotta bring up the Church of Buckley more. I really do.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Anyway, we're talking about Bobby. And we did mention this just, now in the scene dissection, but Bobby really does, he has his Catholic beliefs, obviously, and he has a lot of faith in his people. But I think he really believes in the power of belief and kind of like, like I said earlier, actually, about the themes of like anxiously manifesting things, I think, actually. So it's like he doesn't really believe in all the Jinx curse stuff necessarily, but he believes that it's gonna be as if that were happening because of how they're letting the anxiety of an alleged Jinx like affect them and how they go about their jobs.
Yeah. I think that is something really lovely about Bobby is that like he lets people be pretty much who they are and just kind of like, why did I think like free range? like it's this like little free range firefighters. Yeah.
Aw, Athena.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I was like, free range chicken.
Oh my God.
I don't know. That got away from me. But yeah, it just like he, generally speaking, he doesn't really like force his own beliefs on anybody else. And he respects other people's. Does that kind of get a little negated sometimes when he is projecting? Yes. But that's less about like faith.
Do we have anything nice to say about this man before we roast him for 10 minutes?
Love Bobby. He really kept them, you know, as grounded as he could when everything was going haywire. And that is a true leader, captain, just like a steady rock until this happens.
Yeah. So, like, do you remember in last season in season 3, when we were talking about how, like, Bobby was projecting onto Buck with the whole, oh no, you need to have things outside work or, like, you'll get yourself killed and you're not ready to come back to work. And because I wasn't ready to come back to work, and we were like, you know, Buck is not you. Hey, we're doing it again. But romantically, which is in some ways worse. Like psychically.
Big time.
Because Bobby is projecting his own experience of like moving on from Marcy and finding love again with Athena onto Eddie. And he turns a conversation about the fake firefighter, mind
this
you.
This was so weird.
The man pretending to be a firefighter into a conversation about Eddie. Things to discuss in a later section.
Hang on.
Please make a note. I just thought of that.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So they're talking about Brian, right? And Eddie says, like, you got to admire the dedication. Like, people keep trying to become firefighters, but keep failing, basically. And Bobby goes, I do, and their dedication, but I also feel sorry for them. And then segues into very heavy-handedly talking about Eddie, which is a super weird thing to do because he's like, I pity you.
It was a weird conversation shift. It was not subtle.
Well, with Eddie, I think you do have to.
Oh, you gotta be.
You gotta be blunt.
Yeah.
Should have just stopped while you were ahead. Actually, why? It's just a big tonal shift. I'm with him. Oh, great. We're back to talking about this woman that I ran into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I don't know how to feel about yet.
Yeah.
No, it's so odd. It's not a smooth transition. It's very clunky. I think with purpose. I'm not, you know,
talking about the writing. We're talking about character analysis here. We're talking about Bobby.
I think it is very purposeful, just kind of like, oh, wait, this kind of took a left-hand turn. What's happening? And that's why it takes like a minute for Eddie to catch up. It comes from a good place. It does. Bobby always comes from a good place. But what he's projecting so much, and he's not understanding that by seeing so much of himself in Eddie, especially when it comes to the being a widower and, you know, having to process grief of a romantic partner, I think he's too bogged down in that and seeing himself in Eddie in that way that he's blinded by his own reflection, and he does not understand that what may work for Bobby does not necessarily work for Eddie.
Yeah. And he's going off of nothing except for the fact that, like, he knows that Eddie never really fully processed the grief healthily, and he doesn't think that he's moved on, which is true. And then just like the fact that he talked to a woman, and then people were asking if he was ever going to ask her out, basically, and he was anxiously playing with the water bottle. And he looked at those two things together and said, no, you should move on from your wife by dating this woman, basically.
Yeah.
Which is just weird straight people shit.
It's a weird like connection thing to make.
Yeah, because like it's like, okay, we're talking about Brian, right? Like, which is basically like some guy that's been so fixated on trying to be a firefighter for so long, who probably has zero life outside of that. So that's how he's connecting it to Eddie, who's just more focused on his son and Christopher. You're pushing this guy onto this lady. Again, he doesn't know if he wants to ask her out or not. He probably doesn't. He never really probably even thought of her, actually. Like, yeah, to your point, it's like what worked for Bobby doesn't mean is going to work for Eddie. He should have still continued to process the grief, but not like just, here, let's push you to ask this woman out. And I get it, like the bluntness works, which obviously it did because it got through to him, but it's like, it could have been something else. Like it didn't have to be, you need to go date someone.
I think it's kind of irresponsible to foist someone who clearly has not processed the trauma of their dead wife onto another unsuspecting person.
Yeah.
Bobby processed his trauma before he started dating Athena.
Yeah.
Eddie hasn't. Like, what did he do? He joined a fight club and then went to therapy, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he wasn't even talking about Shannon in that therapy.
Right. And then Anna doesn't know any of this shit. Well, she knows some of it. I'm sure she knows about Shannon like dying, but in terms of what she knows of Christopher, because that was her student, right? But like doesn't know how it affected Eddie or how, like, you know, if it's still affecting Eddie. It's very irresponsible to push traumatized guy onto unsuspecting woman too.
Poor innocent woman.
Yeah.
She really is. It's also kind of weird because nobody really is super privy to how their interactions have gone beyond, you know, like Hen and Chimney and Bobby know that that was the teacher that he yelled at. Buck, I think, is more in the know than anyone else, but Bobby just like is, you know, feeling around in the dark here, essentially.
Which is why his advice to Eddie specifically is normally so bad. Because it's like, I think he projects the most onto Eddie because he like really sees himself in Eddie. But he also just like never asks enough questions to get full context on where Eddie's head is at or his feelings or things like that before he bequeaths the advice.
Nobody actually asks Eddie
no
what he thought
what he wants to do
of his run-in with or his like little meet cute with Anna. Nobody asks how he feels about it.
They just assume,
There's a lot of assumptions being made. And again, it's for like with Eddie's best interests in mind, but it doesn't really work that way. And there's something else that Bobby said that I got stuck on for a minute, because Bobby says, I know what it's like to be stuck in the worst moment of your life. Obviously, for Bobby, that's him losing Marcy and Broken Bobby Jr. in the apartment fire that he for such a long time blamed himself for. He's obviously equating that to Eddie losing Shannon in that freak car accident, getting hit on the sidewalk. I have to wonder, is that actually the worst moment of Eddie's life? And he's had a lot of bad moments.
Worst moment was telling Christopher, for sure.
I think there's something just inherently off base about Bobby's assessment of the situation for Eddie that leads to this, you know, just like left of center advice that's not actually going to be helpful in the long run because he's seeing too much of his own reflection. And I don't think that is Eddie's worst moment of his life.
He's piggybacking off of other terrible advice from season 2 when Eddie came to him for advice about what to do. Like when Shannon was like, I think I'm pregnant. And I think Bobby just assumed that like, oh, it's your wife and it was complicated, but you love her. That's like the love of your life, right? Without like literally ever asking or hearing how Eddie feels about her or how their relationship even was.
Yeah. And I mean, and at that point, I don't think Bobby knew about like the proposed divorce because I think he told Bobby about that in season 3.
Yep.
Because that was like Fallout. That was episode like 309.
I forgot he's the only person that knows that.
So he's giving all of this advice with the added context of the divorce that was so mired in like, this is not the same actually for Eddie, because it's not like Eddie lost Shannon when they were, you know, like really actually together.
It's so much projection because it's like
different.
Okay, he's like, oh, well, we both failed the women we loved, right? But Bobby failed her by like, in his mind, right? He thinks he failed her because of his addiction and then obviously not being able to save her and the kids.
Yes. Which is so different than
Eddie failed Shannon. And this was like, I think the conversation he has with Bobby in season 3, like when he's talking about feeling like he failed her, it's about
and being angry at her.
Yeah. And none of that is remotely similar to like Bobby's thing. None of that was giving like, I'm so deeply in love with this person and mad that they wanted to leave me. And I feel like I'm a failure because I wasn't there in the way that she needed me and I wanted to be. Like, I don't know. It's just.
And it's weird because it's also like take this with a grain of salt. I'm just saying this for like ease of argument. None of the things that Eddie did really like caused Shannon's death.
No.
What he did in failing Shannon was he failed to love her
way that she needed, and vice versa. Right? So like Shannon failed Eddie too. It was a mutual failing here. Bobby's in his mind, it's a very like unequal failing situation. Eddie and Shannon are kind of on like equal playing field in terms of like who failed who more. It's like the same in that way. So it's like this really doesn't equate to anything. So like Eddie's situation with receiving advice of like, you can move on. It's okay. It's so off base because it's just like it's just not the same thing. It's so frustrating because I love Bobby and he is wise. It's just not what Eddie needs to hear.
It was just the wrong time.
Ugh.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like your parents can like know you and love you. Because I think Bobby is still like a father figure to him, right? Or it's like your parents can know you and love you, but they don't always see you clearly. And this is definitely
one of those.
Always the case with Eddie. It's like he sees a lot of Eddie, but there's a lot of empty. There's a lot of space of holes of knowledge of actually how Eddie thinks and feels that he fills with his own projections of his own feelings and stuff.
There's something really interesting here, and we don't necessarily have to go into it right now. I don't think we have time. But something interesting about looking at how Bobby looks at Eddie and what he sees or how he sees Eddie, what he thinks Eddie is, and how Ramon looks at Eddie and what he wants to see, what he projects, what he thinks Eddie is. Like, there's an interesting conversation, I think, to be had there where neither of them necessarily see Eddie for who he actually is, but just kind of like Ramon maybe sees what he wants Eddie to be, and Bobby sees Eddie as a reflection of himself, which I guess Ramon kind of does too, but those are also two very different things.
They do it in very different ways.
Yeah, but it's not Eddie.
No.
So you know how like parents project on their kids their own dreams? That's literally what this is.
Yeah.
It's done in such the most like well-intentioned way, I guess.
You can't really fault it for that. No.
And Eddie really like trusts and respects Bobby and his wisdom and his experience so much that like when he does give him this advice and other advice, he just takes it. But the way that a lot of like kids will follow along with what their parents want to do because they're, I don't know. It's just, there's something about like that dynamic of like parental expectations where it's like Eddie doesn't really care about meeting his parents' expectations, but he wants to meet Bobby's.
And there's where we get into some of Eddie's willingness and wanting to conform to other people's image of him.
Yeah.
And therefore losing some of his personal identity, which is why it takes him so long to process these feelings of grief and anger and other things.
Fun times. Anyway, let's talk about Buck.
Oh my God.
Wow. A slight reprieve because then we come back to this.
This is just an all Eddie episode. Sorry about that. Buck time.
Okay, so Buck. This is right after the tumultuous psychological warfare of episodes 4 and 5 for him. And he's gleefully wielding a clipboard at the beginning of the episode.
Kinder and gentler, though.
Sure. With his faithful assistant. And then he informs everyone that this is Buck 3.0, and that he's like more mature and he's growing. And he's, learning how to like move on and move forward with things. And
sure.
How is he doing that, you might ask?
Therapy.
Sure. But what does he specifically say? Because Eddie says, you're allowed to give yourself some time, to process. And Buck goes, I know, I'm just tired of looking behind me. I'm ready to start thinking about the future. Which, you know what? That sounds like brushing off your trauma and, repressing. So radical acceptance or repression, you decide.
It's that perseverance, that like pushing through, but like not in a good way. It's pushing too hard, and you're stretching a rubber band. It's going to snap back at some point. But it is interesting because I think this is like one of the first times we really see a concerted, like conscious effort by Buck towards like trying to become a version or a software update of Buck that he truly likes, which I think really ties into some of season 6 with like, you know, finding the meaning of life or the meaning or like his happiness or something like that. But also season 9 with episode 11 going once, going twice, where he's finally at that stage, at that point where he's like, I like the Buck who I've become. I like who I am. And I think this is kind of like him really like starting on that path. I do think he gets a little healthier about it, about like the moving on and growing and software updates, because I don't think at this point he actually gives himself enough time to process. But I do think he's working on a journey. He's like starting on a journey to like become somebody who he really likes and is proud of. He's not there yet.
Yeah, I also just like wish we hadn't like just completely dropped actually seeing him talk about any of the therapy other than just saying that he's in therapy, because like I don't think we really ever hear him talk about like, I talked about this with Dr. Copeland in therapy and she said blah, 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 blah. And we never see him in therapy with his parents. In fact, we never bring it up again. So like, I feel like that was like 1 or 2 sessions and then nothing. And I just also think that if you look at the behavior that he displays in episode 414 later this same season, that he hasn't worked through any of this shit, because
it didn't work.
He absolutely sees himself as expendable. Like he sees himself like all of the I don't want to get into it because we spent so long on it in episode 5, which if you haven't listened to the Buck Begins episode yet, go listen to it. Because listen, it's really good. The slew of psychological problems, DSM-5 diagnoses we talked about him having or should have had, you know, because of this, you know, thing that happened to him. There's no way that he worked through that in a couple of sessions by himself and with his parents.
No. I kind of wonder, I mean, now that you brought up the end of the season, probably not, but I was thinking briefly, if this had been like a regular 18 episode season, would we maybe have focused on that a little more? But because he kind of like, I don't want to say regresses, but he doesn't like quite move forward in the way that he's claiming to at the end of the season, maybe they wouldn't have touched on that much more anyways.
I don't know, because if the plan was always to get him in a relationship, I think that's regression still. Because, well, that's a different conversation for later when we get back to the Taylor of it all. But yeah, I don't know. It's just so interesting that both Buck and Eddie in this episode are very like, we're moving forward by not dealing with any of our issues.
Yeah.
That's not how that works.
That's repressed for repressed. Am I right? One of my favorite things about Buck in this episode is his just like absolute baffled disbelief about Eddie's disbelief. He's like, I can't believe that you don't believe this. Basically.
Like, have you met Eddie? Of course he doesn't.
I don't know. It's just very interesting.
It's one of the few ways that they like really diverge character wise. But I just love how willingly Buck believes in the universe and all of these signs and everything, especially because like he has been through this particular one before, and so he has the trauma from that as well. And it's like he is operating with, you know, an experience, like previous experience that Eddie doesn't, so it does make it easier for him to buy into that, the idea of the Jinx as well.
Yeah, I don't I guess we'll leave it for slow burn. I was like, is there a non-slow burn way to look at that absolute meltdown line that he has? Like the universe screaming at you, but you...
I'm sure there is.
I don't know. It's just very interesting because, like you said, he does know Eddie very well. but he's just like baffled this entire episode about Eddie's demeanor, which I guess maybe makes sense because we talked about how it's probably like, you know, trauma response from all of the things. And it's not like Eddie talks about his trauma or how he hasn't moved on from it. So Buck doesn't kind of realize what's motivating the bitchiness.
So in this instance, Bobby is operating with more context than Buck is in some ways. So that makes it a little harder for Buck to really like identify what's at the root of Eddie's issues here.
Yeah. I don't know. I should have said this in parallels. I don't know. Buck just has a habit of outing Eddie, which is super interesting. He did it in this episode and he does it in 809.
He sure does. That is kind of a weird habit to have.
Like Buddy, Eddie confides in you about something and then you subconsciously make that everyone else's business because you're having trouble processing it. Is my read on the situation.
I did find it just like so interesting that while Buck was reading this book about love languages, he was thinking about Eddie and Anna.
Well, because he always makes it about Eddie.
Yeah.
So of course.
Going back a little bit to that, Buck's disbelief and Eddie's disbelief. I mean, I just think that it's also he's frustrated. It's you know, he's frustrated in his like bitchiness, I think also. And that's why he's just like, oh my God. Because like Eddie's just doing that thing he does where he's just like, you know, like he's just like putting up this whole like front and it's just not. So it's like, this is where they clash. I mean, but this is where they also like, feels like slow burn. This is kind of where they clash, but this is also how they kind of like also balance each other out because there needs to be room for that kind of, you know.
Yeah. It's kind of giving like the grocery store confrontation.
It's also giving, it reminds me also of like a little bit of Mother's Boy. Because because of the, I was trying to be optimistic and you're just dooming and glooming over there.
Yeah, but I think specifically for me, the grocery store, because it's like Buck is like, why can't you see things from my side?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the same energy that he's giving. It's like, why can't you try and look at this the way that all of us are looking at it? Like, why do you have to be such a bitch?
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
Why do you have to be so gloomy and like pessimistic?
Yeah, exactly.
Do what you always do. Get gloomy.
No, that is so funny. That is like such a consistent thing.
Yeah.
With them specifically.
I think because like Buck automatically as trauma response, probably from his, you know, childhood, makes a habit of putting himself in other people's shoes and like trying to see things from their perspective. And I don't think that Eddie always does that in instances like this where he's just like, I'm triggered and upset. So I can't, and he can't see past it. Right.
Yeah. Cause he's too like cocooned in his own mind palace or something of like
mind prison.
Yeah, that's probably better. Mind prison
of his own making. But yeah.
I know. I feel like we're a little stilted, but it's just like so much of what we have to say, I think, for Buck goes in slow burn. But I would like to mention a little bit about how, you know, Buck is, you know, ready to start looking towards the future and then immediately goes to hazing Ravi, who is like the future of the 118 or the future of the LAFD. And it's just like, and that is hilarious. It's so funny how like, yes, he may be a kinder, gentler, like clipboard Buck, but he will haze the probie
nice
to heaven and back. Like,
I mean, he's still Buck. He's still gonna be chaotic. I just think it's really funny that he literally was like, oh, speaking of, and then like literally went to scare him and then was like, oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to spook you. It's like, that's exactly what he meant to do. Little shit.
It's like a puppy learning to bark and it doesn't realize how loud he is.
No, he did it on purpose.
I mean, that's fair.
He did it on purpose to like, you know, lightheartedly fuck with him because that's what you do.
Yeah, and he always like when he gets like a little modicum of like power a little bit, he really goes all in.
Yeah.
So
it really does go to his head, which is why the clipboard is dangerous.
Yeah. But it's so fun to watch and just enjoyable. Oh, I just want to say one more thing about Buck. And I think this also maybe goes for I don't know. Is this like an ADHD thing or that
always
that thing at the very, very end when Bobby wants to bring everybody to breakfast?
Oh,
and then Buck is like, you ever get to that point where you haven't eaten in long that you stop being hungry?
Yes.
And everyone's just staring at him like, what? Are you insane?
Yeah, actually,
and I'm just
I could have done a Buckapedia thing about this, I think.
Yeah, because I'm like, I've actually never related to Buck more in that moment. So I was like, that's not normal.
Okay. So sorry, I didn't actually do proper research, so I am giving the Google summary. I do know about this, though. So ADHD disrupts interoception, which is the brain's ability to sense internal body signals, making hunger and fullness cues difficult to detect. So this leads many to either hyperfocus and completely forget to eat until they feel faint, or impulsively seek high sugar foods for dopamine. Also, if you are a medicated person on ADHD, it actively suppresses your appetite. But so it's actually not normal, apparently. And this is one of the many things I learned from like ADHD TikTok. It's not normal to like not know that you're hungry or eat before your stomach is growling. Like once your stomach is growling, you're like past the point of actual hunger, apparently. Yeah. I was talking to TJ about this the other day. I was like, so how do you know when you're hungry? He's just like, well, I know that it's been a couple hours and I should eat, so I eat. And I was like, oh, that's completely foreign concept to me.
Yeah, for me, a lot of times it's like, it's not necessarily that I forget to eat. Like my brain is saying like, okay, you're gonna need to eat soon. Yeah. You should eat soon. You should eat soon.
The time blindness and
I'm like, yeah, okay, I know. I'll get to it in a little bit. Yeah. And then I get so hungry and I'm like, oh my God, I should really eat soon. And then I just like get over it and I'm not hungry anymore. And I'm like, well, I have a couple more hours in me.
It takes a while to get there, but I can definitely see, especially when you're like a first responder and you're having a busy day. Like if you're having a busy day,
they weren't able to sit down for a meal.
Like think about conventions, right? So like when we do conventions, we don't eat almost all day. And it gets to the point where it's just like, I'm not hungry anymore, even though I know I need to eat. And then I need to make myself eat dinner, even though I'm not hungry.
It's like sitting in the panels at like 2 p.m. and you haven't eaten anything. And it's like, oh no, I think I need to eat something. But then you take a bite of like a granola bar or protein bar or something. And you're like, actually, I can't eat this right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so definitely an ADHD thing, which we treat canon here, even though it's not canon yet. But I mean,
I think it's as good
as he's written like he has ADHD. So the way that everyone looks at him like he's crazy, and I think we're all just like, no, that's a normal thing.
Yeah, like the first time when I was watching 911, through the first time, and he said that, I was like, oh my God, me too. Like I'm not usually a super like buck coded person. In that moment, I was like, we are the same.
In this moment, we are the same.
And I was like, that might be troubling, but that might be indicative of some other things. But.
Yeah, they looked at him like that was like something to be concerned about. It's definitely not like a disordered eating thing. It's just, I think, an ADHD thing.
Yeah, I think so too. So anyways, I just wanted to point that out because I thought it was hilarious and relatable.
Okay, so Eddie, why are you the way that you are?
Oh boy.
Here's Sabrina Carpenter. I feel like we've covered a lot of this.
We have covered a lot of it. I do want to say, I think it is, again, so interesting that he tells Buck, hey, it's okay to take your time and process things. Like, just so interesting. Yes, I said it. When you compare it to the advice that he receives from Bobby, because I think Eddie in this case is really speaking to both Buck and himself. Like, this is what I think Eddie wants to hear from other people, but he's not hearing it from anybody else. All he's hearing, like, nobody is really supporting him in taking a slower approach. They're all encouraging him and themselves, in essence, to like, gotta move on. It's time. And I think Eddie is giving the advice that he wishes he would have gotten. Yeah. Not that he like realizes that consciously or anything.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like, oh, because this is at the top of the episode and then everything else is just like, move on, gotta move on. Yeah. So he's like, okay, I guess.
I also do read into this. I don't know how much you guys agree with this, but I do read into the line, in the meaning for how he meant it for Buck of like, first of all, you don't need to speed run processing this. And then second of all, just like, you don't really need to jump right into therapy with your parents. Maybe you could take some time to process this on your own, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm just thinking about how he acted in episodes 4 and 5.
And Buck was like, well, they're trying, so I should try too. And it's just kind of like that I think,
yeah,
a very parallel thing to what Eddie ends up doing is like, well, everybody else is trying, so I guess I need to try too.
Yeah, everyone else is trying. And Bobby moved on with Athena and it worked out for him and he's happy now. So I guess I should do that.
Mm-hmm. Buck's moving on. So who am I? And he just like went through the worst kind of like trauma, which obviously he would like say that Buck's is more than, his own, which is not necessarily true. They're equal in different ways. But like Eddie would be like, oh, even Buck's moving on after he dealt with all of that. What am I like waiting for, sort of thing? Yeah.
Yeah. I just think Anna is really like his curse, I guess, a little bit in a way, not to be mean. It's not even it's not being mean. Narratively, she kind of is, because like she's like introduced for him to move on, and because like he was fine. I think he was fine where he was at.
Mm-hmm. I mean, she is
fine-ish.
She is the one who looks up the scam that leads to him getting shot. So kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. She might be part of the curse. Like, can we talk about this for a second? Like how insane it is and how like doomed this relationship is kind of from the jump to introduce who they are setting up as a love interest during the bad luck episode.
Yeah.
Like you don't set up especially an endgame relationship in an episode where unlucky and ridiculous things keep happening. Like that's the universe giving like neon signs that this is maybe not the right direction and you can like go the other direction.
Yeah, I also think both of their scenes, the soundtrack is doing a lot of heavy lifting of setting the tone.
Oh, it's pure like rom-com music, which like does give you the warm and fuzzies, but it's also just kind of like, I don't want those.
But I'm saying if you watched it without that, I don't know if it gives the same vibes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's just like this whole interaction when he bumps into Anna in the morning, like during that like billboard call. And it's just like, she's obviously kind of like putting on the indicators that she's kind of interested. She's like giving him the eyes, like she's into him. And we keep focusing on like her reactions and stuff and her just kind of like, oh, little like eye flutters and like, I'm a little flustered. He basically gives her nothing, like,
yeah,
sure. He gives her a compliment saying like her new job looks good on her, but that's also like a good accomplishment. She just finished a PhD.
She just got
like,
your doctorate.
Just the smoothest thing he literally has ever said to a woman ever.
No, actually.
That's the peak of Eddie flirting with a woman, actually, is that line.
That's him top of his game.
Yep.
It's bad.
It is bad.
Like,
it is bad because I'm like going through the Rolodex of like all the times he's talked to like maybe Marisol, or is that it? Alex non-existent.
Kim.
Kim.
That's a weird like outlier situation too.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, he doesn't really. He doesn't have. No, that's probably the best one.
It's also something that can be platonic so easily because you can say that like in a workplace because it's not like, hey, like, because it's the tone I think in which you say it, because it's like, hey, that thing suits you, right? Like it seems like this thing makes you happy or that you're good at it, right?
There's no like flirty, like
he's not like, oh, it looks good on you. Like I can imagine Buck doing it and it being flirty with like the eye look up and down and like it looks good on you, and he's just like, looks good on you.
Yeah, it's very genuine, very innocent.
Yeah.
It's just like he just keeps it so kind of like neutral and professional anytime she starts like, oh, it must be my lucky day, like kind of putting on a little bit of like a little like flirtation, he just kind of like disregards that and is back to professional. It's like, yeah, I hope you have more luck than I'm having because we're having the shift from hell. Like it's so not like engaging in any kind of like potential romantic interest way. And he gets so awkward too when she's like, oh, so you were looking for me? And he's just like, and reverts back to like reframes it as like through Christopher, which is what he always does.
The exact same face he makes when Abigail is like, oh, Alex is this pretty like woman. And Chris is like, she is. And he's like, excuses himself. Like he's not comfortable.
No, not at all.
And I also just think that like, because there's it's all in how you interpret it, like obviously. But when he's like he's running, he's jogging like past her, and I think it registers in his brain that that's Ana Flores, and then he's like, should I stop? I don't really want to stop, but I probably should because I know her. Like to me, it's just such a like polite, like obligatory thing.
Yeah.
And not like a double take, like, ooh, that's Ana Flores.
Like, oh, wait.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
And it's also like the greeting too, instead of just being like,
yeah,
hi Anna, or it very formal, Miss Flores, like it's not like flirty or anything. It's just like,
no,
hey,
boundaries firmly in place. Yeah, very professional.
And she's like willing to move that boundary a little more. And he's not. I mean, he's also working, but like, people, Buck flirts on the job all the time. Like, it's not that out of.
But Eddie's not Buck, so like.
I just thought of something.
Oh dear.
The engine scene is after this, right?
Yeah, a while.
So what if he's like, the universe is trying to give me a sign to date this woman? And he's like, fuck this sign. Because it's like the universe, right? Like how the universe gave him a sign that he should marry Shannon again, or like propose to her over again because like she was pregnant. So he's like, oh, well, the universe put Ana Flores back in my path. So that's obviously supposed to be some sort of sign.
Wait, which engine scene?
No. I'm not talking about the engine scene. I'm talking about him running into her. Like maybe he's looking at that as a sign in his comp-het scripts of like, I should date this woman because this is who my parents would want me to be with. And like, I've been teased by everyone I know about like how this woman is attractive, right? So he's seen it as like, maybe he's seen it as some kind of like sign from the universe. And that's also contributing to like why he's so vehemently against like the jinx and the curse and the universe and all of that in the engine scene. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Because it comes after that.
For me, it's a discussion that he has with Buck right before they try to help out with the clowns.
Yeah, where Buck is the one to be like, oh, pretty Ana Flores. And it's just like, Buck is the one to insist like anything relating to her. And again, Eddie doesn't get the chance to complete this conversation.
I don't think he had any intention of completing the conversation.
Yeah, no, he was just like, haven't you ever said something stupid in a conversation? You keep thinking about it again and get like, afterwards. And then he's like, well, yeah, have you met me? And then he's like, yeah, I ran into Anna. And then he's like, oh, Christopher's pretty English teacher. I haven't heard you talk about her in a long time.
Like she's not on his mind.
Yeah.
And it's just like, for me, there's so much about like him running into Anna and like feeling stupid about the conversation after the fact really kind of like, to me, brings back those feelings of inadequacy that he had in 312 Fools when they had that parent-teacher conference, when he just like really, really wanted to impress her in the way that like, hey, I'm a good dad. I'm a good parent. And it's just like, to me, that's what that was giving. Like he didn't want, he thought he was sounding stupid because he still is so in that mindset of like, I want to make a good impression so that the people will think that I'm a good dad and I'm taking care of my kid, especially since she was his teacher.
I read that completely differently.
I mean, I think there's room for interpretation there.
I read him like ruminating it and realizing that she was trying to flirt and he like failed at the performance of that.
I think there's some of that too. Yeah, I can totally see that. But it's just like there's so much
Because otherwise, why would he sound stupid? You know what I mean? Like, why would he think that he sounded like an idiot? He was professional and like a normal human being saying regular sentences. The only thing that was off is like she was saying flirty things and he was like, so anyway.
Yeah.
Just like, meow, over his head.
Yeah, but no, I think so. What you're saying is kind of like, yes, about how it's like how Buck was like, ooh, the pretty English teacher. That's kind of where I was getting at, is that like the run-in with her, and then that maybe he could start building it in his mind as like, oh my God, this is some kind of sign that I'm supposed to like fulfill. Okay, yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's kind of like what I'm thinking. Like maybe he was thinking in his mind and like why he has this crash out part of it.
I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying. But no, but it does progress because it's like he meets her, then it's like Buck pushing that Reed into it, and then it's like everyone at the firehouse ganging up on him, and then it's like the ultimate boss, Bobby, who's like, you should date her.
Essentially.
And then now Eddie's like, fine. Okay, universe.
Like he's done fighting it, kind of. Yeah, like there's just like so much assuming on everyone else's part that the only thing stopping Eddie from asking her out originally, like in season 3, was the ethical conflict of she's my kid's teacher. Like, no, he just didn't want to.
Yeah.
Like, and I think he was embarrassed that he yelled at her. Like,
as he should be a little bit.
He was really defensive. Like, I apologized about that.
Yeah. Before we get on to a little further on, I do just really quickly want to mention the irony, like when he bumps into her, they're like little meet ugly. The irony of him treating her when he's down on one knee.
Yeah, that's intentional.
Like a proposal. Oh, I know it's 100% intentional. It's just, it's so funny to me. And it's like such a smart thing for them to do. It, like to have him in that proposal stance, because it's like
the director's choice, right?
I'm assuming.
Yeah, like caps off for that, because that was funny.
It's so funny because like looking forward to how Eddie feels about Anna being seen or thought of as his wife in season 5.
Oh my God.
Is laughable.
Yeah.
It's so funny. So like, I really do think they were kind of like setting this up to fail
from the
jump here. Yeah. Cause it's just like, that's so intentional. And to pair that with like, I'm not ready for a ready-made family. She's not my wife. Like having him like in the proposal stance, like at their meet cute on their unluckiest day ever is crazy and genius.
Yeah. Do you because like I'm trying to be in Eddie's head right now and like think why, because like why would he bring this up to Buck but then just like kind of seemingly be aimless about it? And like why would you bring it up when you kind of probably would know how Buck would react? But I think he literally was just thinking about it and then realized that she wasn't flirting and he didn't necessarily realize it in the moment, and he feels like an idiot, and that maybe was what he was trying to like get across. But then Buck went in with the like, oh, you like her, she's pretty, and he just shut down.
And not in the like, I need support in like
processing this.
I feel kind of stupid right now.
Yeah, or like I feel stupid because I didn't realize she was flirting with me, and like I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, because he just was not ever able to finish his thought at all
of processing the interaction and like how he felt about it. And then everyone else just kind of told him how they thought he felt about it.
Yeah. But yeah, that like late night book club, and I'm sure we'll talk about it in Slow Burn as well. It's just like, it's so interesting how everyone was just kind of like, oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like the little gossip girls that they are, truly like a dog with a bone. And then Eddie's just in like this spotlight, like nervous and like having to explain himself not well. Not that anybody's actually really listening to what
he's trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though he doesn't really know what to say. This is like, this whole episode actually is so many like points in my headcanon of Eddie on this autism spectrum. Not being able to like understand when people are flirting with you, and like not being able to like name your feelings and that kind of thing.
I think that's totally understandable evidence. Yeah. And I guess just to talk again briefly about like the advice that Bobby gives him in that conversation, it's like with Eddie asking Bobby if he's happy with Athena and the kids, it's like Eddie is bracing himself to like prepare for a new family. And it's just like, I think so much of the problem with Eddie's and Anna's relationship moving forward, oh my God, is that he thinks he has to dive in immediately into that ready-made family. It's like, honey, no, you don't have to go that far in the future. But it's also kind of like it's giving Eddie's thinking, oh yeah, I can do this for my kid. And nothing, and none of that is like, I'm doing it for myself. I'm moving forward for myself.
Can we do like the world's shortest little like parallel edit when we put out the socials for this of Eddie saying like, but you're happy like with Athena and the kids, right? And then, you know, him going on the date with Anna and then flash to season 5 with them breaking up in the kitchen, him being like, I thought it would work. Because that's literally like what he's thinking. Yeah. He's like, well, she's perfect on paper and everyone's telling me to do this. And like my kid needs a mother. So I think it will work, right? She's pretty and everyone's telling me to move on. And it's like the consequences of everyone's peer pressure.
Yeah. Ooh, I think that would, one of you guys are in charge of that, but I think that would kind of eat. Yeah. And then like we have Eddie being like negotiator extraordinaire, with Eddie kind of talking to Brian directly because he has like, Eddie is so like empathetic and he has just like a really beautiful and I think kind of unique way among these other characters to really like reach someone else in ways that some of the other characters aren't really able to. So with Brian backed up into a corner and Eddie is basically like, he's able to hone in on exactly what this guy's motivations are, what will help him do the right thing. And it just feels like Eddie's basically using his keen like reading of other people and negotiation skills. So it feels kind of very Brawl and Cell Block 911. I wrote it down so I said it correctly, which is 506 and 908 War with Eddie in the grocery store to the veteran. And just the way that like Eddie, like all of this chaos is going on around him and he's able to just kind of like really focus in and it's almost like everything else quiets out.
Yeah.
And he uses his empathy, his calm, his competence, and just like is really able to reach this guy. I think it's a beautiful moment.
I think Eddie has this gift the most out of all of them, but I think most similarly to Bobby, I think, where it's like his empathy is so deep and he has this ability to really put himself in other people's shoes and not judge them, you know, in their worst moments. And that's how he's able to reach people like in these situations. You know, he's not writing them off for having done things that are not great. You know, he's putting himself it's kind of like his version of stepping into it with them. You know what I mean?
And we talked about that in the episode that we talked about 908.
Yeah, with 908.
He just kind of like does that intrinsically.
It's one of the reasons he's so good with Buck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he has this kind of like almost endless, there is an end, but almost endless patience for people.
Yeah. He's just able to like really hone into their core needs or wants or like motivations like pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I just think that's so interesting.
No, he really is. And I was going to say, it sounds stupid, but maybe this will make sense. I was like, you know how Hen is with animals? Like Eddie's like that with people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a people whisperer. And then I think the last bit that I have to talk about is like the breakfast date with Anna, where it's like, coincidence? I think not. Where we cut directly from the lady at the restaurant that Buck and Bobby and Hen and Chimney are having breakfast, and she's having
a heart attack.
And then we cut to the dispatch, like, what's your emergency? Immediately cuts to Eddie at his breakfast date where he's like anxious and nervous, but not in a good way. And it just doesn't that feel like a premonition of things to come? Because like
Mm-hmm.
He, again, the same thing with like him putting him in like that proposal stance. It's like there's mixed signs, I guess you could say, but like most of the signs are pointing to like no.
Yeah.
Because, and this is, I think, one of them. This is like for us, the audience, as a sign that this is a doomed relationship. Because then, what happens at the very beginning of season 5? Eddie has panic attacks that he thinks are heart attacks regarding Anna.
Oh,
and his relationship with her. So the what's your emergency is indicating that he is having one right now.
Yeah. That's what I was like, well, yeah, this is my emergency when we were watching it last night.
Yeah.
This is literally the emergency, guys.
Yeah.
And it's going to continue on. As it goes
the emergency is like
it's bad.
The safest innocent woman, and like poor Eddie also.
Okay, no, but that makes me wonder because, like, you know, because I'm gonna circle back to a comment you made, I think, Rachel, about like how are you going to introduce a love interest that could, you know, maybe whoever was watching at season 4 did it or did not know was like an endgame relationship. Like, how are you going to do that on the bad luck episode?
No,
exactly.
Like
in the heels of a heart attack.
It's like, it makes me wonder, did anyone in fandom actually have, maybe like somebody could have been like, really, really weird place to introduce a love interest. Really weird. Like I have hopes that maybe one person could have thought that, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Because yeah,
like,
it's just crazy to introduce a love interest in the bad luck episode.
Also just so awkward.
And well, yeah,
it's terrible.
So incredibly awkward. And like I to me, the whole crux of this, just like this is doomed, is that they both go Jinx like at the end of the Jinx episode.
Yeah.
And they're like, ha ha ha.
They jinxed each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. And at the beginning of the episode, when Ravi says the Q word, and then Hen and Chimney are like, well, maybe if he says it again, it'll cancel it out. It doesn't.
Oh, because he's like,
here you go. It doesn't cancel it out. It actually makes it worse.
I don't know. Maybe if he says it a second time, it undoes the curse, Chimney. Maybe if he said it a third time, the Candyman will show up and kill us all. So it's just like,
I wonder if this has cursed him for every single relationship going forward.
It's doomed.
It's doomed. Yeah.
And it is interesting because I think within the universe, like as Eddie, I think you could, if you were like leaning into or contemplating leaning into like, are these signs from the universe? Is this like pushing me to, or all of these things pushing me towards this person? But like when you take a step back as the audience and look at the narrative on a more meta level, the narrative signs are saying, no, it's bad. It's not, it's doomed. So it's just kind of like, oh dear.
No, but I am serious. Hold on. Like I'm still thinking through his relationships going forward because like there's Anna and then there's Marisol
the nun.
And then
who he cheats on emotionally with the doppelganger of his dead almost ex-wife.
He really needs like some sort of cleansing ritual.
Maybe he should be.
He needs to be gay.
Just queer baptism.
Eddie, you're gay. Be gay. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know if Rachel got the New Girl reference. Nick, you're gay. Be gay.
Yes, I did. Yes. Be gay. Be gay. I love that. So that was a subtle one.
So he's jinxed, and he laughed at basically the spirit of death.
And the protector of gun violence.
And any kind of violence.
She really said bet.
Yeah.
If anyone needs to believe in signs in this universe, it's Eddie.
Okay, so this brings us to our Best Buddy segment.
Shout out to our best buddies on Patreon.
Thank you so much, Aaron, Alexandra, Alexis, Alma, Alyssa, Amanda, Amber, Amy, Annie, Anika, Anthony, Aradia, Ash, Asha, Ashley, Aubrey T, Aubrey G, Casey, Dana, Joyna, Elizabeth, Ella,
Ellie, Emmy, Erica, Evelyn, Gabby, Gil, Gracie, Jane, Haley, Enika, Irv, Jen, Jin, Joey, Juan, Jules, Kenny, Quincy, Leah, Leslie, Madeline, Marianto, Max,
Maya, Mike, Millie, Mishi, Nat, Patricia, Paul J, Pigeon, Poppy, Rachel, Rebel, Sephi, Sheila, Sherry, Stacy, Adasis, Tina, TJ, Tori, Tris, Wade, and Zach.
We're about to start a mini segment about what Buck and Eddie's love languages are.
It's exclusive to the Best Buddies tier of Patreon.
So if you'd like to hear special mini segments each episode
and get a personalized shout out,
subscribe to our Patreon.
All right, slow burn. I know we've kind of just been trickling this stuff in for a lot of the episode because the queer coding for Eddie in this episode is cuckoo bananas, bonkers, actually.
No, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, starting out strong, just the hard eyes that Eddie has for Clipboard Buck. It's not just that like he humors him in the way that Eddie always humors Buck. It's that there's literal hard eyes and like no one can even stand to be in the same room as Clipboard Buck.
Yeah, like not only is Eddie literally the only one willing to put up with Clipboard Buck, he actively enjoys it.
Yeah.
Like
that's love, man.
It's fun for him to see Buck in like clipboard mode and just kind of like, I love this. I'm going to roll my eyes, but I love it.
I like when you're being bossy and a terror. It's fun.
Yeah. I mean, he loves Chain of Command. So
anyways, so Eddie says in this conversation where Buck's talking about like, I'm Buck 3.0. Eddie goes, still not sure what inspired that software update. And I don't know. I just read so much into that line, but in a way that I cannot articulate. Because to me, I'm just like, I think Eddie just loves, and I'm not even talking completely about romantic, but just like Buck is his person. So he's just like, why would Buck need updates? You know what I mean?
He's great as is.
Yeah.
Like out of the box model. Yeah. No, I'm seeing the threads that you're pulling there. Yeah.
Okay. So Buck says in that same conversation, I'm ready to start thinking about the future. Stay with me because these things culminate in one point. And then later in the episode, Hen goes, medical, babies, women, and, points to because they're doing the book club. And then Eddie goes, I was wondering why Buck had a book in his hand, but now it all makes sense. And I was just like, these are signs pointing to, could be signs that are making Eddie think that Buck might be like thinking of dating again. Like part of his thinking about the future, right? It involves him, finding someone to settle down with. So this is kind of like swirling around in his head when he gets this advice also from Bobby. That they're so focused on what they don't have that they miss the chance to have something else, something real. Sometimes you got to move on. So it's like Bobby says that Eddie should date again and everyone else is encouraging him to date. So he's like, okay, well, time to follow that comp-het script. But also there are signs pointing to that Buck might be dating again soon. So I feel like that's part of the subconscious, like pushing him towards that direction because, gotta date people at the same time. This is the start of that, I think, actually.
Yeah, is that like parallel kind of journey that I think Syl has talked about a number of times as well, where it's like if one of them starts dating someone, the other one ends up in a relationship. Yeah. If one of them breaks up, the other one breaks up like soon afterwards. It's just kind of like them going like par for par on the same quote unquote milestones or whatever.
I'm certain I've made this joke before where it's like, oh, you're cheating. I guess I'm cheating too.
Basically. Yeah, I mean, it really culminates with Eddie like calling Buck a traitor, and I know like the at surface level read is, wow, you outed me, but it's really like the double meaning of that is like, wow, you traitor. Now you're because it does look like if he's reading about a book about women, he's thinking about dating again. So now Eddie's like, oh, I guess I gotta start dating too, you fucking traitor. What about like hanging out with the boys?
Yes. That's exactly what I thought too.
Yeah. What about staying single and hanging out with your boys, me and Christopher, in a committed friendship where we don't date other people?
Yeah.
Yup. just a committed, platonic.
No, but it's also like
domestic
and
relationship.
then there's Buck who's like turning it in his head because like he's like kind of blindsided because Eddie just brings up Anna out of nowhere, and now he's like, shit, now I gotta start dating because now this the pretty English teacher just showed up. She just entered the villa. She just entered the villa like a bombshell. Sorry, this is if nobody knows, it is July. What? I don't know, sometime middle of July.
Syl and I have Love Island brain.
We have Love Island brain. So
it's July 11th.
it is also the Norway versus England game. So if you hear a goal from me, that's what happened because I'm watching it right now.
Okay.
Fuck you, Oliver Stark. Sorry, go ahead. You might hear it. I don't know. It might come out of my mouth.
It's fair. It's fair. Anyways, yes, going back to like what Bobby said about like they're so focused on what they don't have that they miss the chance to have something else, something real. And I'm just like, that sounds an awful lot like, oh, maybe they're not seeing what's right in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's what that's giving to me. Like it's absolutely not in the way that Bobby means, but I think it's the way that he should have meant it for Eddie. Like essentially what Abuela was saying to Eddie in 905 is like, you just weren't looking in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
You have to look at literally what's right in front of you. Otherwise you'll miss it. You'll miss something real.
Because you're so close to it, you can't see it.
Okay, so in an interview with Max Gow with The Hollywood Reporter, he asked Ryan Guzman, Eddie and Buck have this really great verbal argument at a diner in New Mexico, and a homophobic patron remarks that he's never seen their type before. Do you think Eddie was aware of how he and Buck came across as a bickering married couple to these locals? And Ryan said, no, I think Eddie lives in such naivety, and he's oblivious to so much that that's kind of the texture of the character. Take a shot. I think if he knew what that looked like or played into that, it wouldn't read as well, to be honest. So him having that spat with Buck, not knowing that he looks like the exact married couple that you see on TV, amplifies that scene.
Yeah. So again, I really do think like this comment of Bobby's is so apt, but not in the way that he intended it. And it's just like Eddie wouldn't be able to see that thing, right? That like something else, something real, something good that would be like literally right in front of him.
Yeah.
I don't know what would flip that switch to make him recognize that, but that's kind of just like, you know, the thing that goes unsaid. I love that quote, actually.
Yeah, it's a lot longer, but like that's the important part. It's basically just like Eddie is clueless and not seeing what's in front of him.
Yeah.
So Eddie, like when he's getting confronted at book club at the station loft, he has his little emotional support water bottle that he is fidgeting with while they like tease him or really just like imply that he has this interest in Anna, teasing him about his lack of follow through and asking her out before or now. And he tries to give the like Christopher's teacher excuse, and like he can't, they're like, well, you can't use that anymore. She has a new job. And I just think that the way that he is so fidgety and anxious in that scene says a lot. But also it's just like, you have to laugh so you don't cry, because it is kind of sad, because it's like, you ever had your three best friends just like bully comp-het into you? Do you know what I mean?
Not personally,
no. And two of them are, no, I'm saying like this is what's happening to him. Like he's just like, he can't sleep. And then they're like, you know, oh, there's a pretty woman and you must want to date her and you should ask her out. And like, it just, the amount of comp-het in this episode coming from literally every single character is actually staggering. It's kind of crazy. This is why we can't stop talking about it, because there's a lot.
There is so much. It is wild, because it's just like, you know, we talk so much about how like Eddie is very calm and competent and he like is cool under pressure. And then there are these moments where that anxiety just like seeps through so viscerally. It's another moment, at the end of 8:10 when he and Buck are saying goodbye as he's about to move to El Paso, and we notice like they get, both of them, but especially Eddie gets like very fidgety. Eddie got fidgety when he was about to tell Buck that he was moving to El Paso. It's these moments where Eddie is so uncomfortable with what's going on, or how I think he may be perceived in ways that he doesn't really want to look at, or expected to act in ways that he really doesn't wanna.
Yeah.
Because like anytime anybody brought up the like, oh, Anna, oh, like, you know, let's goss a little bit, you know, let's gossip, let's give us the tea. And it just, Eddie was not thrilled. Eddie was not excited. Eddie was not, you know, willing to kind of engage in any of this like, oh, well, I don't know, guys. Do you think she might like me? Do you think it would be like a good idea? No, they were just like putting all of their opinions on Eddie without like him actually saying what he felt, but it came through in his physicality with how like uncomfortable he was with the whole thing.
Yeah. And it's like, obviously, we can't directly compare these two things because he's not looking at these other things as romantic interest, right? But I think that Eddie is an outgoing person who can easily like make friends and establish connections with people, right? So he has this like thriving social life. And then we see him in season 2, episode 1, make Buck his friend, even though Buck really didn't like him. Like he finds a way and he makes it happen because he's like, no, this grumpy one, actually, I'm going to make him like me. And then we don't see exactly how the Tommy friendship starts, but like, you know what I mean? And he seems very excited and happy to hang out with them, to talk with them. And I think there's like a normal amount of like, oh, having social anxiety, but like he doesn't really have social anxiety. So like why?
No, he's a little butterfly.
So why would that all of a sudden come into play when it's someone he's interested in, allegedly, even though he never says he's interested? It's just people being like, there's a pretty person who's interested in you, so you're interested in them, right?
Yeah, it's none of that sparks joy for him.
No.
You know, and for a time, his friendship with Tommy sparked some joy for him. You know, when you can tell when he's really enjoying something for him, especially in later seasons where he's really like learned to embrace that. But there are moments where that peeks through before, you know, confessions. This is not one of those times.
No.
You can tell. I think it's a gut feeling for him, but because of all of the outside input that he's getting, he's just like, I gotta tamp down on my gut feeling and go with what everybody else thinks is best.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm
supposed to do.
Expected to do.
And eventually it'll feel right, right?
Oh, God.
Yeah, I was just thinking about like his dinner date with Vanessa.
Yes.
How like he was dreading it.
I love Vanessa.
Dreading it so much until they finally like came up with this plan, because like they basically let each other down, and then he's just kind of like after he leaves and like they don't have like that little like, I don't know. Basically what I'm trying to say is that I think they could have been friends.
They could have been friends.
And he totally would have enjoyed it.
And I think his thing afterwards was like, wait, because he has that little moment of like, wait, should I have been offended or something? Or like,
yeah, it's like, wait, this was kind of fun, actually.
Yeah. That's what I was getting at. Because like, he could have had a friend. He could have had another.
He could have had a beard.
Or that too.
And he never felt that way with Anna at all. And I think it's because
the expectation, right?
The expectation, because with Vanessa, that got taken off the table. So then there was no expectation left. So it left him more free.
Yeah.
That's where he found some of that joy, and that like lack of expectation put upon him.
It's because he didn't have to perform, because that was the episode of like, oh, dating is performing. And then
that was performance anxiety.
And then obviously, yes. But once that performance is out, like, yeah, damn, he could have had a friend to kiki with, or a beard.
Do you want to say that during like that little book club scene, there is like, I had to double check it because I thought it was like my real life ambient sounds. No, they purposefully put in like the siren wee wooing in the background of this whole conversation, where Eddie is just like being a little ball of anxiety and stuff. And it's just kind of like, it's similar to doing the work of some of the music that ramp ups the tension without like having music in the background there.
But like ominous.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, wee woo, this is an emergency.
This is Eddie's emergency.
It is his emergency.
And it is on the closed captions as well. Like in the parentheses, it's like sirens. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, that is feels 100% intentional. And it's just that like continuity of like pairing Eddie up with this idea of Anna and like, it's not great. Like there are bad things happening.
But speaking of performing,
yeah,
this date, man, which starts off with like her being like, I was surprised you called. And then Eddie sighs, it's in the captions, and says like, that was okay, right? Or she's like just checking to be like, I performed that, right? Like I did that. That's what I was supposed to do. Like that was you were flirting with me, and then I did the thing I did. I fulfilled this dating script, right?
My purpose.
Correct. And then I don't know who's on that date, but it's some sort of caricature of Eddie. Because like, I don't know. It's so weird. And I cannot put my finger on it, but it's very performative.
Yeah, no, it is. To carry on this conversation about Eddie performing and stuff, because I think sometimes he really can just kind of like fall into a very specific Eddie role that's not actually Eddie. It's like what he thinks is good. But what we were talking about earlier, where we were like brain blasting with Brian.
Oh my God.
Being equated to Eddie, and how Brian pretending to be a firefighter, something that he always wanted to be, like literally putting on the costumes, putting on the helmet, like the masks, if you will. And Brian is a mirror to Eddie, because Eddie is basically like talking to himself, you know, when Brian has hijacked the engine and everything like that. So like that through thread is there. So it's just like this equation of Brian putting on a performance of a firefighter first responder equals Eddie putting on performances, especially with so much of his story revolving around running into Anna again. Like, yes, there's this element of like moving on, but everything else in the meta narrative that we see as the audience is saying like, literally don't do that. It's not a good idea. It's not you. You don't want it. Like,
yeah, I would love to know if there was any sort of like hee hee ha ha, like insertion of the writers, like what, you know what I mean, like in the writer's room with the whole like, no, Eddie's going to relate to this man who's pretending to be something he's not.
Yeah,
because that's literally all I was thinking is like, oh, I was like, Bobby definitely wasn't really, because I was like, how did Bobby get there? And I was like, well, I guess my way of getting there and comparing them would be, oh, this man wanted to be a firefighter so bad that he just pretended to be one. And it's like, Eddie wants to be a straight man so bad that he just pretends to be one.
Yeah.
And eventually it'll work and feel right.
And it's, it's so interesting too, because like until we kind of like stumbled upon this in our conversation, I wasn't really sure of why they decided to so obviously and purposefully make Brian a textual parallel or mirror to Eddie, because it felt like almost unfinished in a way. It was like, yes, I get that Eddie ended up talking to him about like the moving on thing, but I was like, I was also having trouble like making that logical leap from what Bobby was saying, from like this guy who, like you said, is, you know, putting on this role to like, okay, now we're talking about Eddie and Anna again. I was like, I know you're doing a mirror here, but like it feels unfinished, and this completes that for me, because it's like, this is what Eddie does all the time, is he performs, he puts on a role, he does what he thinks is expected of him.
Yeah. Also, if you read this whole conversation that he has with Brian and replace helping people with helping Christopher or being a good dad to Christopher, it's literally the same thing.
Yeah.
Because Brian says, all I ever wanted was to help people. Like, so it's like, all I ever wanted was to like be a good dad to Christopher. And then Eddie says, I know, that's what you had planned when you put on that uniform. Things don't always turn out the way we planned. Sucks, I know. Can't let yourself get stuck. All you can do is let go, move on. Sounds scary, but I know you can do it.
Yeah, and that's him talking to himself.
And then it's like, you want to be a hero? There's a 5-alarm fire, right? You want to be a hero? Date this woman for your son.
Which is equating Anna to a 5-alarm fire. Another emergency. Oh no, this is so bad.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not a hetero. I'm reading it now and replacing hero with hetero. It's really funny.
And that's actually. So, you just add a couple extra. You add like exactly. 2 extra letters in there. Oh boy, That's kind of scary.
You know, okay. I'm gonna skip a little bit to the end though, because of I know we have this particular read, but I just think it's funny because if Brian is supposed to be the Eddie mirror, they're supposed to mirror each other. I think it's just funny because the man gets arrested, he gets shackled up, and Eddie is now just he's shackled up to Anna.
Oh, he's shackled by the handcuffs of
heteronormativity.
Yeah.
Oh no, Sil,
he's
correct.
like I said earlier, he's in a prison of his own making.
Yep.
I mean, society too, but
Yeah. Oh,
his own fault is because he just like literally never explores his own feelings or lack of feelings, and he just like suppresses
goes with it.
Like if he had taken this situation and followed the thought train through of like, oh, I didn't realize that this interaction was flirting, and then realized it was flirting and was like, I don't really have any interest in dating her. Why don't I have any interest in dating someone who is attractive and really good with kids and checks
and
all of the boxes?
And is perfect on paper.
Is it really
then
Shannon?
It would be like, or,
Yeah.
And I think there are like a couple doors to walk through there.
Oh, for sure. But I'm saying take a million little moments like this, and he was like, whatever, just going to brush that off and bury it and never think about it again. And that's kind of how he's kind of, society and the comp-het is a big problem, but him never exploring his own feelings about things because he just lets other people tell him
what to do,
yes,
or what he should be doing
and what he feels. Yeah.
It's so funny. And I know we've talked about this before, but it's so funny because then these things are out of his control with the whole like forces out of your control.
I don't worry about things that are out of my control.
He is a control freak, but then he ends up giving away the control of things that would actually like behoove him and benefit him for things that like expectations.
Yeah.
He allows other people to control those expectations and he rises to that challenge as opposed to stay true to him sort of thing. This is kind of gobbledygook, but do you understand what I'm saying?
Because he can't stay true to himself because he won't let himself explore why he has these vague feelings of wrongness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's not exploring why the idea of her makes him feel really anxious.
Yeah. And also because he learned from such a young age to put all of his needs
aside and take care of other people
to the backseat. So it's like he needs to take care of other people, so he's taking care of Chris. He always puts himself last, and that includes putting himself last when he thinks that other people are trying to tell him what they think is best for him. That was like a convoluted way to say that, but he's like, oh, they must know what's best for me, so I don't know my own needs because they come last anyway.
I also think I'm really harping on the autism thing today, but I think it's part of the reason is like he doesn't know how to name his own feelings, and this is canon, like textual. Like he has a very hard time like naming his feelings and talking about them out loud. And so to really realize, like he'd have to go through so many steps to get to the realization of like, maybe I'm not attracted to women, but it's like, because it's so buried under so many layers and he'd have to really explore that feeling. It's just like, he doesn't want to do it, but also like, I think it's just so much easier for him to accept that other people telling him, basically saying, oh, you're anxious because you want to date her. Like it's easier for him to just go along with that and be like, well, they must be right. And it must work out eventually. And, anyway, it's selfish of me to not try and find Christopher a new mother. So
there's that. Yeah, that's selfish. He doesn't want to be selfish. He wants to just give. And it's like, well, of course they would think he's just anxious because of that.
Yeah.
Because they never really ask him what he feels about those things too.
Yeah. So. I think just like, since I had that brain blast earlier of thinking about like their first date alongside the image of them breaking up and him saying like really kind of like bereft and heartbroken, like heartbroken that he couldn't make it work because he to him, he tried, right?
Similar to Shannon.
And I think comparatively to Shannon, tried way harder, like way harder. But he's like, I thought it would work, and he it's just
he really thought
really thought like if he just did this and did what he was supposed to and did all of the things that a boyfriend does, that eventually like he would feel the way he's supposed to feel. Oh my God, it's just like religion.
Fuck you all at the start.
But it's just like religion, right?
It is.
It's like, well, I never felt that thing, God's presence. It's like, oh, well, I've never felt that thing, attraction to women. Or being in love with the woman, right? It's like he's like, but if I keep trying, I'll feel it, right?
Because he's looking for it in the wrong place. It should be right in front of him.
Eddie, talking about you makes me so fucking depressed sometimes.
It's depressing.
He's depressed.
Babes, I need you to get out of the closet. I'm so
feel like he needs to. Yeah, we need him free from there.
Let yourself out.
Like, release your inhibition. That was pathetic on purpose. Yeah. Yeah, I think, again, just like to kind of go back into that idea of expectation and comp-het, I feel like this is a little like straw graspy in the way that like I can't quite like put my finger on it.
Is it like
the words to explain why? But
well, what angle were you trying to do? Because when I read that line, I just think it's very comp-hetty. It's very comp-hetty.
Comp H-E-D-I.
But like
Eddie.
Yeah, let me read the line first. Let me read the line first. So when they're in the engine, you know, right before they get trapped by the live power pole, believing in the Jinxes, it was a normal call. It went like clockwork, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And then Hen says, you notice how you never hear anyone say, wham, bam, thank you, sir. And I don't know, there's just something about like, it feels a little comp-hetty to me in just like this is a typical phrase and saying that is just kind of like based in, you know, heteronormativity. And it's kind of like what I'm equating it in some way, shape, or form to like what Eddie thinks is expected of him.
And probably how he thinks of sex in a way when he's in a relationship with someone.
Yeah. And also just Hen is just like, you never hear anyone say wham, bam, thank you, sir. So like also something about like not even considering any other options, right? As in like,
yeah.
Eddie's not looking anywhere else.
Because the assumed thing is always straightness. That's the entire...
Yeah.
You know, boil it down. That's what comp-het is. Compulsory heterosexuality. If you haven't heard us talk about it before or heard about it, there's, well, Google and books, but also
our queer coding special.
Yeah, where we really lay it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that just like, it was niggling at my mind about like, that seems such an odd thing for Eddie to say, to like pull out this kind of like almost crass phrase. Because he's not usually like that. And then to have like the flip side or like the opposite be presented to him and not even have that like occur, you know, like, oh, you never do say that, huh?
Yeah, it's almost like he could look at things like that for his own experiences, maybe. You notice how you never feel this way or think this way about things, and it seems like the normal way to think about that if you're, you know.
Yeah. And even too, like to bring Buck into it, because Buck's just like, it doesn't rhyme. Like, because he's at this point, it doesn't, and it does not have as good of a ring to it anyways. No. But at this point in time, he also is not considering any other options, nor is he considering them for Eddie. Because I know, still, you've said before, like, you know, Buck is like, especially with 907, is kind of like doing the comp-het tango, like for Eddie. He's like pushing that onto him.
He thinks he's being supportive, but it's like he's pushing the comp-het onto him, and because he thinks the man is straight, he thinks that's the only option. He and Eddie both can't, like, they can't see that there are other options at this time forever. Well, Buck after 704, but like, but not for Eddie. So
sad.
That's depressing.
Yeah.
No, he's
and then
straight.
I don't know if
he's a renter.
He's a renter and he's straight. What? Like that logic, bro. And then I guess just to like wrap everything up, just to revisit the line that is crazy, where it's like the universe is screaming at you and you refuse to listen, from Buck to Eddie. It just kind of at both of them, but also at Eddie more. Just like the universe is screaming at you that you don't have to do what's expected of you. You don't have to put yourself last. You don't have to like uphold heteronormativity. You have something real right in front of you. If you just open your eyes,
Yeah,
because the universe is screaming.
The layers of that line when we know for a fact that Buck has no awareness of like him being bi, Eddie being gay, his feelings for Eddie are crazy. And it's another one of those lines where I'm like, I want to know what the writers were thinking when they wrote this. But it really what?
Oh, I was just gonna be like, do you think the universe was screaming at Buck when Eddie got shot? But then but then he gets jinxed by something because Taylor ends up kissing him. And then they get together.
Double jinx.
It's bad.
It's double jinx and it doesn't cancel each other out.
But yeah, I think the line of like the universe is screaming at you and you refuse to listen in an episode that's filled with so much queer coding and comp-het and all the other stuff that we've discussed for not just this section, the whole episode, the performativeness is kind of crazy of them. It really is like you have to be kind of one of us like in reading into that. But it's like the universe is screaming at him, but he is refusing to listen. Like he's refusing to examine any of his actual feelings. He wants to take his time. He wants to kind of stay single and be by himself and kind of figure himself out. But he thinks that everyone in his life wants him to date this woman and that it would be the best thing to do for Christopher. So instead of listening to kind of his gut
or the universe
and exploring any of that, he's just falling in line like a following chain of command, right?
Like a good little soldier. Yeah. He's listening to the little Buck in his ear at a time where he should not. No, he really is just like falling in line, like he's been conditioned to do, because that's what it is. Eddie has been conditioned to put himself last, to take other people's opinions into consideration, because that way he doesn't have to hold the control as tightly and like a weird, like counterintuitive way to his control freakiness. And then just like in a meta narrative way, like the universe is screaming at you and you refuse to listen. Like, what does this line mean in like the grander narrative? And that makes me really wonder, especially in season 4, where we do think there was a lot of very intentional setup for a realization of sexuality or feelings or something we're thinking probably Buck, but like it could have gone any way.
5 was absolutely for Eddie.
Yeah.
The way that this Anna storyline goes makes me wonder if they were thinking about it now or not. When they were doing this now and planting all these seeds.
I think they were, and that's
right.
And that's why they introduced her in this episode specifically.
In Jinx.
Because they could have done it. They could have done it in another episode and it wouldn't have made us nearly as suspicious of this may not work out for the better for you. Like any other episode, we probably wouldn't be thinking of that nearly as much. But because it's with everything else packaged in this, it's like it becomes part of that universe screaming sort of situation.
And like while Eddie is not canonically gay, we do know that there has been at least some amount of intention from the writers to do so, because originally in season 7, Tommy's storyline was going to be for Eddie.
Yeah.
So that's why I look at things like this Anna storyline that starts in 4 and then at the beginning of 5, it would have been the most natural, like Andy's gay.
Yeah.
And then everyone watching would have been like, well, yeah. Well, yeah.
He just fumbled this
this perfect woman.
On paper woman.
If he can't, be attracted and fall in love with her, who can he? Like,
he's a hopeless
woman. Yeah, exactly.
No, and again, to your point, like harping back to the whole introducing her in the bad luck episode, it's just kind of, how do I say it? If somebody had made that connection at first and had made the assumption that, oh, they're doomed from the start. I mean, they were always going to be doomed from the start, because I don't know. I just think that love interests for Buck and Eddie in general will never last. But it's just funny because this is more like in your face, because you're introducing the love interest in the bad luck episode. So and then reading into it,
it's intentional.
Yeah, like it's intentional, basically. Doomed from the start, and then like putting in all of these clues about like his queerness, like it is a natural progression.
It's like the universe is screaming at Eddie The universe is screaming at the narrative of this show. The universe is screaming at us, the audience, to recognize all of those other things. You know, it's just like layer of like, wake up. This is what's going on, actually, you know?
Yeah. Sorry, what episode does he break up with Anna? Is it
3 of
3?
5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be juicy when we get there, too.
Yeah. Okay. I just think it's very interesting if you parallel the beginning and the end, right? So the first date, she goes, how did the day from hell turn out? And he said, I'm starting to think it turned out pretty good. And then they say Jinx, right? At the end of the date, or the end of us seeing the beginning of their date. And then the end of their conversation when they break up, which is the last that we see of her, she says, I don't want you to panic when you think about me or when you think about a future with me. I can't take that. And Eddie says, I thought it would work. I did. The idea of us. Chris loves you so much. I just thought. And she says that eventually you would too. He says, I should have said something sooner. She agrees and says, yeah, you probably should have. And she goes, well, I'm sorry about the mess, but I guess it's your mess now.
Yeah.
Oh, he is a big old mess.
So from how was the day from hell, I think it turned out pretty good, Jinx, to sorry about the mess, but I guess it's yours now. I don't know. There's just something sadly poetic about that.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll have more to like parallel to that once we actually get there.
Once we get there,
the rest of 4 and the first couple episodes of 5, which are woof.
Oh my god!
It's basically gonna be like this conversation in like through another different, like slightly different lens again. But it's just
his
like
entire relationship with her is just gonna be us saying this kind of shit. Entirety of it.
Yeah.
Strap in, I guess. It's it's the season of Buck, and then really starting the comp-het. Comp-hetty.
How many?
You've heard of Buddie?
Sure How many terms do I
have? You heard of comp-hetty?
Comp-hetty.
I don't know. I love it.
Comp-hetty. And what was the other one that I made up this year?
The unrepression checklist.
Unrepression checklist.
Yeah. Wow.
We're so funny. Anything else?
I think we kind of covered it. Like, there's so much more that we could do,
but it's like,
we'll get to it eventually.
And we can always look back because it's, she'll be here for a year.
Yup.
Or a season, I guess.
Yeah. And I want to make it clear. I like Anna as a character. I think she's great. They do not work.
I love Anna. Yeah.
I like her. I like her more than all of them.
Yeah. I think there's like 2 lines she ever says that I'm like, it feels a little ableist to me, but
Oh, it's like the get back on the horse thing.
Yeah, it was that. And then the I think there's something else that she says in season 4 or 5, like once they start dating.
Oh, we'll get to it. Yeah.
But no, I actually do like Anna, and I have no problems with her. It's just that this is not.
They don't work as
this is not a relationship
pair.
To root for. I root for her.
It was Jinxed.
Save herself. She showed up when we were watching it last night. I was like, "Girl, run!"
She probably she probably took this running into him a sign. Too.
Yeah,
she's like,
yep.
She's like, oh, the universe put you in my path. I'm glad. And then he called me. Oh my god, it must be fate.
Yeah, yeah. She's like, oh, it was my lucky day.
Oh, girl.
Girl, I'm not sure it was.
No, their date started and I was like, get away from her. Leave her. I'm on Anna's side, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I don't think you should ever date someone that you don't have any interest in just to see if it'll work. I don't think that's fair.
I think he's deluding himself to thinking that he does have interest.
Oh, for sure.
But he doesn't actually.
And it just makes me wonder if the future of Eddie, would they try again? Would they try to
both of our faces are just like
they try. I mean, Tim said that he was thinking or trying to do the Alex thing, and then that there is no chemistry.
Okay, so how many love interests are we going to introduce for one to actually stick? There's one. I don't even know if that was the correct question. It's just
they've also here's the thing is they've just narratively written themselves into a corner. I think on purpose, because I think they and meaning the powers that be, the showrunner Tim, wants to make it happen.
I agree.
So it's here's the thing. It either happens Or if something ever keeps it from happening, if like they decide to finally pull that trigger and something keeps it from happening, then it's either like character assassination or like the worst shoehorned love interests you've seen for either of them, or they're just single losers forever who are just like platonically married to each other.
It's fine with me.
I'd rather have that than the shoehorned in love interest.
Yeah,
but
they'd have to be so...
There's nothing that they can narratively do for either of them for love interest to make it be a satisfying match at this point.
No, and especially because you have to take the time to build them up, make them likable, make it even seem worth it. And let me tell you, Alex was not gonna work out.
No, she was not likable.
No.
Yeah, like they really would have to be so particular and intentional and thread that needle, which I think would be a very hard thing to do because they would have to like have a very specific intention, like kind of from the beginning. And that doesn't always pan out when someone is introduced specifically as a love interest. So then it might be better to like introduce someone as not a love interest first and like grow that. But again, that would take time and concerted effort with the knowledge that that is the track that they're going. And that's, I think, an uphill battle that I'm not sure that they're willing to devote so much time to.
Well, it's not even just that. It's the fact that if they do pair them both up, right, the dynamic either changes because like it should if they... You can't be married to your best bro if you actually are in a committed relationship with someone, right? Like that, your person has to emotionally... Your person has to become your actual romantic partner for that to be a healthy relationship. Yeah. So if they actually went that way and did that, then it completely changes that whole dynamic, which is such a huge part of the show. And it's been written contextually that way consistently for 8 seasons. Or they don't, and then it just constantly is weird, and then their romantic partners are never like prioritized, and then like they're never like intermeshed with each other, which is also weird if like those are their romantic partners, because they never have been,
because that's like a core pillar of their character.
Yes,
and it's like, and it's not that I don't think that they could, you know, pair either Buck and or Eddie up with a long-term romantic interest that may end up being endgame, but it's like I'm not positive that it would be satisfying in a way that would really be true to who Buck and Eddie
to the
are,
characters in the story they've been telling,
as we've seen them in 8 or 9 seasons.
And you know, they tried with Buck and Taylor. They even tried a little bit with Buck and Tommy, and like Tommy is also different, I guess, because Tommy does know these people like in the worst
and
way.
He's a first responder.
And he's a worst responder. But like they tried with Taylor, they tried to integrate Taylor in like these family dinners and like these family events. But it's also like, girl, why are you here? you know what I mean? Like Eddie's welcome home.
Also,
she was just so randomly there.
The thing that's going to happen, like to me, if they ever try and write, and this is why I say it's character assassination for multiple reasons, but one of them is that if they ever do write Eddie in a relationship with a woman and he's suddenly like, oh my God, I'm in love with them and I'm a good boyfriend who's emotionally available.
No.
Then he's just a fucking dick to these other women he's dated.
Yeah, that's kind of not great either. Listen, I'm all for character growth and development, but like that would be really bad.
Yeah.
It just feels like it won't be a natural relationship or a natural way of writing him, because come on, it's been 3 love interests plus 1 that could have been, and he's still a disaster.
Yeah, that's just, and you know what? That's just who Eddie is. Yep. And it's okay.
Yeah.
He just needs to hang out with the boy.
Yeah.
If we can't, for whatever reason, get gay Eddie and Buddie, you got to keep them single, or it's just going to be bad. Like, I can't see any way for it to be good and satisfying, like, as a fan of the show. And
and we're talking
Buck
like long-term,
yes, long-term
love interest, like endgame love interest. Like
I'm not saying they can't ever have love interests again.
Yeah, like they could bring someone in for a little bit, but like the staying power of that, I am highly doubtful of.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing. Like I'm not opposed to that either. It's just kind of like, well, this is something to kind of like bide the time.
Yeah. Well, and Buck's not dating anyone anytime soon because he just got Theo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
then if we go by Syl's theory, if Buck no date because Theo, then Eddie no date because Buck no date. So
yeah.
I don't know. There's somebody working against me right now who really wants Eddie to have a Buck 1.0 slut era. So
is it Ryan Guzman?
Yeah.
I could see a world in which, not that he sluts around because that's not Eddie's character, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I could see a world in which he panics and tries to start dating someone.
Yeah.
If he gets really into like the domesticity of helping Buck with Theo. And then is like,
it's an overcorrection.
Yes.
The overcorrection. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like,
well, I do think there are like some really interesting possibilities here that have a lot of variation in that, but it's just like for end game stuff, what would be actually satisfying? And that's where you end up having fewer good options.
Yeah, like, and I want to be clear, like when I was saying like it's not satisfying for them to be with other people, I don't mean like narratively ever again that like they can't ever write them in a relationship. I'm just saying that like as an end game or as like a satisfying, fulfilling relationship for those characters. Yeah. So it's just like they can still date, be in relationships. It's just like it needs to narratively make sense and either lead to like the thing that makes the most sense, or they just are Bert and Ernie. You're just like, why do these two men just inexplicably live together and raise their two children?
And listen, if we've learned anything from our days in Supernatural and Dean Winchester, it's that he knows two things for sure. Yep. And one of them is that Bert and Ernie are gay. Yep. So the end.
That's a great way to end it.
I don't know. That just seemed like, okay.
Yeah.
Little silly goofy. But no, I love pulling out that line when
Ernie are gay.
They are.
The other thing he knew for sure is that Cass wasn't going to die a virgin, but that wasn't as relevant to our conversation. So
remember, don't say the Q word.
But if you do,
take a buddy with you.
Thank you for listening to the Buddy System Podcast.
Can't get enough of the buddies? Subscribe to our Patreon for access to our Discord community, full reaction videos, and even more exclusive content.
And if you really want to make our day, leave a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
Please come yap with us on your favorite social media platform.
We're at Buddy System Pod everywhere. That's BUDDIE System Pod.
Catch you next time. And don't forget,
bring a buddy with you.